Bitter frost grips the land. While others seek warmth, a crowd circles the winter mansion. A cruel spectacle begins. A master is brutally disciplining her lowly servant in the snow. Onlookers mock and jeer. They envied the dog who once seemed so favored by her. He was never a favorite, merely a toy. Evelyn Winter finally ceases her heartless assault. She discards her whip, banning his speech. Yet the boy desperately clings to her feet. He begs for mercy and truth. He weeps, recalling their shared secret vows of love. Evelyn only erupts in chilling laughter. She mocks the fool for believing her hollow lies. His utility has expired. To her, he is now just filth staining her expensive hem. She banishes him with a threat. He must never dare to crawl back to her. A decade passes. Evelyn now rules House Winter with a frigid iron hand. Secret lovers tremble in the shadows. They dread the Duchess's legendary wicked temper. Her reputation for cruelty is famous. The man tells the maid to hide her face. She labels it a fetish. Truly, he simply finds her common features repulsive. He craves Evelyn Winter's blonde beauty. He covets her portrait even during his trysts. Sadly for him, that obsession will lead to a very dark dead end. The door slams. Evelyn Winter enters in a rage, purging the filth into the snow. She offers a twisted mercy, a final choice between two cold, tragic ends. Freeze or pull the trigger. Neither coward is ready to face the Reaper today. They beg for life. Isaac crushes their pathetic attempts at intimidation with a single blow. Their wailing annoys her. Evelyn decides to assist their inevitable journey to the grave. Die for Winterhouse's glory. She even mocks them with promises of golden coffins. She aims her weapon. The terrified couple flees from the beautiful, cold psycho. They scream desperate threats. They swear the name Evelyn won't protect her forever. A shot rings out. Evelyn lets them live, sighing at their pathetic, lucky escape. She orders Isaac to increase gun production. The frozen sea has stalled her grand plans. Isaac pays the workers extra. Suddenly, a miniature version of Evelyn appears. Meet little Sherry, the only light left in this frozen, desolate world. Evelyn's mask slips. She tells Sherry she just scared a big bad wolf away. A hidden pain plagues her. Evelyn refuses a cane, hiding her growing physical weakness. Sherry shows a drawing. It's a flower that shouldn't bloom in this wasteland. The image haunts Evelyn. It recalls a shy boy from her dark, buried past. 10 years ago, he carved a gift. A wooden bloom born of pure devotion. Evelyn called it scentless. The boy promised to bring her real flowers one day. That promise was broken. Memory of his bloody face still stains Evelyn's soul. She forbids the drawing. Suddenly, a frantic man crashes through the hall doors. The messenger is trembling. He brings news that could ruin the Winter family. He gasps for air. Evelyn and the Winter family are facing a total annihilation. Their northern fleet is seized. The family's wealth is being systematically drained. Every ship is held. The military is targeting them with surgical, cold precision. A carriage arrives at the Winter Mansion. Soldiers salute as a powerful figure emerges. An elite commander has arrived. Evelyn is oblivious to the hunter at her gate. She fumes with arrogance. Who dares to touch the property of her family? The answer is a nightmare. The Empire's greatest hero, Colonel Galus Black. Evelyn doesn't recognize the name. She has forgotten the dog she once broke. The trap closes. The Winter family is accused of treason and illegal arms smuggling. He warns her, "Stay away from this, Colonel. In this world, he is known as a literal devil. But that devil is already at the gates." Gillis has come for Evelyn, and his greeting is far from friendly. Soldiers storm the mansion, drawing weapons on everyone while the man himself strides in with terrifying, calm authority. He mockingly apologizes for tracking mud onto Evelyn's floor, claiming there was no time to clean his boots. His words are venom aimed solely at Evelyn. Seeing his eyes, she remembers everything. 10 years ago, she beat him like an animal and discarded him as nothing more than filthy dirt. On that bloody day, he made a chilling vow. She would spend every remaining breath drowning in regret. Evelyn had laughed then, but the joke is over. The wretched servant she once despised is now the Empire's strongest warrior. The armed guards round up every trembling soul in the Winter estate, herding them into the Grand Hall. A grim declaration echoes. The noble House of Winter is now the target of a high-level investigation. They stand accused of high treason, suspected of smuggling lethal weaponry to the enemy through secret sea routes. Now, the entire Duke's mansion is a prison. No one leaves until the soldiers drag the hidden truth into the light. Flight is considered a confession of treason. The staff panics until Evelyn's sharp command silences their terrified whispers. She warns them that every breath is being monitored. One careless mistake will lead to their family's absolute ruin. As she ascends the stairs, a heavy gaze stops her. Above her looms the nightmare himself, 𝓤𝓼𝓻𝓮. This is the 𝓤𝓻𝓮𝓮 Empire, a nation on the brink, surrounded on all sides by shadows of enemy territory. Only the sheer, brutal might of their military prevents the empire from falling into total, bloody collapse. Yet, border skirmishes never cease. In these endless wars, the commoners are always the first to be sacrificed. As resentment against the nobility boiled over, the very foundations of the social hierarchy began to fracture and change. Just as chaos peaked, a savior emerged from the darkness. A man of mystery known to all, 𝓤𝓼𝓻𝓮. They call him the Black Beast, a demon of the battlefield who plays war like a grand, lethal chess game. By crushing the elite and avenging the poor, he became a living god of hope for the common people. His low birth was forgotten. He had ascended to become the realm's most legendary and feared war hero. Now, this titan interrogates Evelyn, fixated on one suspicious question. Where exactly is her husband hiding? Evelyn dares to call the Empire's top soldier an idiot, mocking how an illiterate brute could ever become a hero. She sneers that Gillis should trade his sword for a pen, as his talent for fiction is truly impressive. The soldiers tremble at her insults, but Gillis remains unfazed. He knows the secret behind her desperate anger. Officially, Rowan Winter is a dead man. But while the world is fooled, Gillis smells the stench of a lie. Driven by dark suspicion, he did the unthinkable. He dug up the grave. Evelyn's face pales with sheer horror. His men truly desecrated the tomb. Gillis offers a hollow apology, his eyes gleaming with anything but remorse. The desecration revealed the truth. The coffin was empty. Their marriage 10 years ago was built on a foundation of lies. 3 years later, a train wreck supposedly killed Rowan. Yet today, his grave yielded nothing but cold, empty air. With a chilling smirk, Gillis tosses the incriminating documents onto the table before her. He tracked the gold. For 7 years, massive fortunes vanished. A ghost of a husband and a bleeding treasury. Only one truth remains. Rowan Winter faked his death to lead a shadow rebellion against the very crown. Evelyn's mocking laughter rings out. She tells Gillis he's missed his calling. He's a storyteller, not a real soldier. Gillis shifts his focus, asking why she remained a lonely widow for 7 years despite having many suitors. She had every chance to remarry. Evelyn admits the opportunities were many, but her heart still belongs to Rowan. No man can replace him. Hearing this, the colonel lets out a dark, cynical laugh that chills the air. Can a devil like Evelyn truly understand love? Disgusted by his mockery, Evelyn's patience finally snaps in two. She stands and drenching his arrogant face in wine. "You do not frighten me," she declares with ice-cold fury. Soldiers and threats mean nothing to her. If he wants her head, he must bring her undeniable, physical proof. She forbids him from insulting her husband again and storms out, finding her young daughter waiting in the corridor. She reaches out, but the child is paralyzed with fear. Behind Evelyn stands the monstrous Gillis, carrying more grim news. Evelyn tries to walk away, but Gillis's voice cuts through the air. He is far from finished with her. She thinks she is safe, but the evidence he holds is a mountain that will crush her family into dust. When the royal army seized the contraband vessel, they uncovered a chilling truth. Every weapon bore the Winter family's seal. Unless she can scrub the blood from her name, a cold executioner's blade awaits her. Evelyn scoffs at his threats, mocking the days he whimpered at her feet, begging for mercy like a dog. She demands he grovel again for her favor, but Gillis coldly strikes her walking cane aside. Looming over her, he whispers a dark warning to stay alive for the sake of her young child. After a chilling embrace, he grants her a temporary reprieve, leaving Evelyn drowning in a sea of confusion. Her bewilderment turns to pure rage. She knew this monster had not returned out of kindness. He cast her cane into the shadows as the dark legacy of House Winter began to resurface. The founding duke was the crown's most devoted shadow, the very cornerstone upon which the empire was built. Gifted the northern territories, the brilliant patriarch amassed a fortune through strategic mining and the iron trade. Yet, rot set in as his descendants succumbed to greed, staining the family name with illicit dealings. The starving masses finally revolted against the duke's long-standing tyranny. Their honor was only restored when Rowan Winter emerged as the Academy's most brilliant young prodigy. Despite being a mere foster son, he dominated the scholars before vanishing 3 years later. Evelyn seized his mantle, her heart turning to stone as she refused to shed a single tear for him. She ruthlessly exploited every laborer, causing prices to skyrocket. The people loathed her, certain that this wicked woman would lead the Winter name to its grave. She mocked their whispers until the golden empire she built began to crumble beneath her feet. With no male heir to carry the torch, the prestige of the winter name slowly faded into obscurity. A new dawn rises, but Evelyn's fury burns bright as she glares at Gillis with murderous intent. Shattering the silence, she slams her tea down, daring him to utter those insulting words once more. Unfazed, he declares his intention to strip her of everything, including her title and her ancestral lands. Defiance means total ruin, as the military will seize her assets and cast her out like a beggar. He offers her a peaceful exit, but her pride is a cage she refuses to leave. Her hollow arrogance only earns a cold laugh, for everyone knows her wealth has turned to dust. Branded a traitor to the crown, no merchant in the empire would dare touch her blood-stained business. Surrendering the dukedom is her only hope, yet she stubbornly refuses to sign the contract of her defeat. Hellas warns her that struggle is futile. She must bow before the inevitable storm of her own making. Evelyn is no victim. She refuses to kneel before her enemy. Rather than yield to Hellas, she will gamble everything on the king's mercy to crush her tormentor's ambitions. She orders Isaac to prepare for their departure, intending to plead her case at the royal palace by dawn. Under the veil of night, the memory of Gillis's mocking superiority fuels the fire of her resentment. Each insult only hardens her resolve to protect her legacy. Lost in a dark daydream of his destruction, she fails to notice a small shadow creeping toward her. Startled, she lashes out, only to find the tearful eyes of her innocent daughter, Cher, staring back. Guilt stabs her heart as she cradles the sobbing child, whispering soft lies until sleep finally takes her. Though the child is troublesome, she is the only reason Evelyn finds the strength to survive. She vows to defend their home, holding her daughter tight. The little one awakens to find her mother shivering in thin garments, vulnerable in her deep slumber. As she wanders off for a blanket, a dangerous shadow seizes the chance to slip into the chamber. Gilles' blood boils when he hears her whisper her dead husband's name, waking her with a harsh kick. He offers a warm meal, having watched her starve herself throughout this long, exhausting day of conflict. He wants her healthy, but underestimates her stubborn pride. She scorns his food as a cheap bribe, only to freeze when his fingers trace the lines of her face. His gaze shows a flicker of worry about her fever. Since childhood, Evelyn had a stubborn streak whenever illness struck. She would refuse every single meal. Her cold slap stings as she rejects his kindness, screaming for this pretender to state his true motives. Revenge? Gilles merely sneers. To him, she is currently just a pathetic creature, far too weak to even target. For his vengeance to truly taste sweet, she must first possess something worth tearing away from her. Trembling with fury, Evelyn nearly collapses. When he offers soup, she violently shoves the bowl aside. Finally snapping, Gilles slams her into the chair, mocking her desperate attempts to act superior while being so frail. He sees through her prideful mask. Since she threw the spoon, he will find other ways to feed her. Evelyn likely anticipates a classic, romantic mouth-to-mouth transfer, but he ruthlessly jams the bowl against her lips, letting soup drench her face. "Accept your new reality," he warns. As Helios forces the meal down her throat, a sudden blow strikes him from behind. Someone is desperately flailing at him. Looking down, he finds the tiny, fiery Sherry launching a miniature assault. The girl thinks she is a warrior, but her strikes do not even register against him. Yet, her bravery spares Evelyn. Ellis retreats, coldly ordering the stubborn woman to finish every last drop. If she falls ill now, she will become nothing more than a useless weight for her family to carry. Hard to believe, but Gilles and Evelyn once shared the bond of master, servant, and even lovers. Years ago, a rainy day and a soft touch were enough to make their hearts race into a blush. Has urged her to stay sheltered while he sought help, but Evelyn would not let him go. Terrified of the dark woods, she clung to him. He worried about the fever, but she was fearless. She claimed his radiating warmth was all she needed. Young Gilles shied away, but she demanded his eyes. She wondered aloud what handsome features were hidden beneath those long locks covering his face. Her flirtation sent him into a panic, but she commanded her servant to remain exactly by her side. "You are all I have," she whispered. Those words shattered his resolve, making him weak for her again. They shared a cinematic kiss amidst the rain, but that devoted man is dead now. Back to the present. The next morning brings fresh misery. Miraculously, Evelyn's carriage has been sabotaged overnight. The panicked driver nearly weeps, swearing the vehicle was in perfect condition when he checked it last night. Yet, come sunrise, a vital component lay in ruins. Her mission to the palace is stalled. Gilles offers a seat in his carriage, but her pride demands a refusal. She would rather rot in the sun for 3 hours than endure a single mile beside him. Done with her games, Julius simply scoops her up and tosses her into his own luxury carriage. "Cease your struggling," he growls. "The public is watching this display. Exploding with rage, Evelyn slaps him. 𝓲𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓽𝓮𝓭 soldiers nearly faint seeing their terrifying commander struck by this woman. He remains unfazed, simply tossing her into the carriage like a captive. She searches his face for the boy she knew, but finds a stranger. Meanwhile, a dark satisfaction fills him. She still has claws. It seems the forced meal last night successfully restored some of her fighting spirit. The journey begins, but Evelyn's defiance hasn't cooled. She threatens to vomit. He coldly tells her to use the window. Insulted that he cares more for his upholstery than her health, she sneers, calling him a dog. She mocks the days he could not even meet her gaze, even kicking a box toward him in contempt. No matter how venomous her words, his composure remains ironclad. This hollow shell of a man infuriates her. "You are not the boy I loved." Those words pierce Jules like a blade. His mind flashes back to their final encounter, the day she nearly beat the life out of him. Clueless as to his crime, he had cast aside his pride, kneeling in the dirt and begging her to stay. He was willing to do anything to prevent her from abandoning him. But her heart was stone. She banished him forever. Ellis thought it was a misunderstanding over another woman's hand. He tried to explain the truth, but her answer was a strike so brutal it drew his blood. Now, the memory of that humiliation fans the flames of his burning resentment. When Evelyn reaches out, he recoils, remembering her cruelty. "Don't touch me," he growls. "You have no right to judge my change." They reach the Imperial gates. He descends in silence, refusing to unearth the buried trauma of his past. To him, their history is a repulsive stain. As they enter, unseen eyes track their every move from the shadows. High above the castle, a predatory gaze fixates on Evelyn's every step. Victor Altrich, the ambitious prince, smirks. 7 years since her husband's funeral, the elusive widow finally emerges into the light. He marvels at her beauty. Widowhood hasn't dimmed her radiance. She remains a breathtaking prize. His decision is final. Now that she is within his grasp, he will never let her escape again. Victor greets her with feigned warmth. Evelyn remains cold and professional, offering a stiff apology for the intrusion. Victor masks his obsession with fake concern, inquiring about the hardships of her long journey. He offers tea to stall her, but Evelyn has no patience for his empty pleasantries. Dismissing him, she demands to see the king to clear her name. Victor, however, blocks her path with a smile. The emperor is bedridden, he lies smoothly. The king is far too weak to receive guests. He claims sickness has clouded the king's mind. Victor insists she wait until his senses supposedly return. He mocks her urgency. To him, her ruined reputation is just a trivial, harmless misunderstanding. Evelyn plays along, pointing toward 𝓲𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓽𝓮𝓭. She complains that his soldiers are far too rigid and stubborn. Arrest is imminent if she fails today. Victor defends 𝓲𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓽𝓮, claiming the man has always been a heartless tool. "He is just dedicated," Victor chuckles, introducing the deadly Colonel 𝓲𝓻𝓮 as his personal savior. Saved from death on the battlefield, Victor spent years turning the legendary mercenary into his ultimate weapon. He boasts that 𝓲𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓽𝓮 is an apex predator, unmatched in hunting and crushing any foe. He wonders if 𝓲𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓽𝓮 mistook the lady for an enemy and treated her with his usual brutality. He certainly did, but Evelyn swallows her rage, forcing a fake smile of approval for the beast. His kindness was overwhelming, she mocks, feigning tears to mask the terror his presence truly brings. Finally granted entry, Evelyn is stopped as Victor begins a sickening, unrequested confession of his devotion. "Lean on me," he whispers. "Forget your dead husband. It is time you became mine and started anew." "Is that why you murdered him?" she counters. Victor freezes, his guilty silence echoing through the hall. "Just a joke," she scoffs, leaving him stunned. Inside, the king welcomes her with genuine, fragile joy. The king's decayed, discolored hands reveal the truth of his agony. Evelyn bows, repenting for her long absence. Meanwhile, the Archduke erupts in fury, hurling insults because Evelyn dared to ignore his royal ego. He despises her unwavering pride. As Victor rages, 𝓲𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓽𝓮 sips wine in an eerie, disciplined silence. Her arrogance is nothing new to 𝓲𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓽𝓮. But he isn't the only shadow hunting for the missing Rowan. Victor suspects the former duke still draws breath. This is the king's first audience with Evelyn in years. He mourns Rowan's genius. The world once believed that man would lead their empire into a golden age. Death took him too soon. The king shares Evelyn's dark suspicion. Victor is the true assassin. Academy rivals in the past, the king knows Victor's soul was consumed by a bitter, deadly jealousy. Greedy and spiteful, the Archduke couldn't stand being second. He viewed Rowan's brilliance as a personal insult to his crown. The emperor knows Evelyn's current suffering is a web spun by Victor's treacherous hands. He is using threats to break her, desperate to force her into a marriage of total submission. She cannot win this war alone. Opposing Victor's tyranny, the king resolves to become her secret shield. The winter name won't fall so easily. Victor, fueled by paranoia, commands 𝓤𝓲𝓴 to hunt down the living ghost, dead or alive. He wants the body. He dreams of crushing Rowan's remains to finally shatter Evelyn's defiant spirit. He issues a chilling ultimatum. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 must not fail his master. I made you, and I can break you, Victor warns. He offers a portrait, but 𝓤𝓲𝓴 coldly declines. The colonel needs no reference. He knows the target's face better than his own reflection. That face is etched into his soul. After all, he was the artist who painted Rowan's wedding portrait. As Evelyn pleads for a final chance at loyalty, 𝓤𝓲𝓴 vows to find Rowan no matter the cost. Leaving the king's chambers, Evelyn steps into a lion's den. A massive crowd waits, eyes filled with hunger. Victor seizes the moment, surrounding her with nobles. He boldly demands she dine with him, offering his personal escort home. She sees right through his facade. A concubine's son born in shadows, Victor has always clawed desperately for absolute power. The title of Archduke isn't enough. He dreams of the throne, fueled by a bottomless, dark ambition. With the military already under his thumb, victory seems certain. Yet, one critical flaw bars his path to the crown: bloodline. In the kingdom of 𝓤𝓲𝓮, pure lineage is the ultimate currency of the nobility. His birth remains a stain. To rule, he needs Evelyn's prestigious name. Today, he's staged a public trap to claim her. Accepting his hand means more than dinner. It is a public declaration that she belongs to him forever. Cornered and suffocating, Evelyn searches for an exit. Suddenly, a sharp voice cuts through the tension, silencing the Archduke. Enter Joshua 𝓲𝓲, the crown's first heir. He publicly shames his uncle for bullying a lady, questioning his very honor. Victor sneers at his young rival, ordering the boy back to his studies. But Joshua refuses to back down today. His true mission stands before him. One glance at Evelyn, and the brave prince turns into a blushing boy. Evelyn's heart softens at the sight of her loyal fanboy. She never imagined the prince would remember her so fondly. Worry clouds Joshua's eyes as he checks her well-being. Victor tries to dismiss him, but Evelyn quickly intervenes. She mocks Victor's arrogance, proudly declaring that Joshua is destined to graduate at the top of his class. In this land, wisdom is the true pillar of strength. She praises the shy prince until he vows to match her late husband's greatness. Seizing the opportunity, Evelyn asks Joshua for help. She needs a way home, far from Victor's reach. Spinning a tale of wolf attacks and broken carriages, she claims the road is far too dangerous to travel without a noble protector. Her sudden request leaves the three men completely stunned. While Victor seethes with rage, Joshua beams with joy. He eagerly agrees, and Evelyn offers her deepest gratitude. As long as 𝓲𝓲 stands, the Winter family pledges their sword to Joshua alone. A vow of eternal loyalty is born. The watching crowd gasps. Evelyn has just shifted the entire balance of power. She didn't just escape Victor's trap. She utterly humiliated him before the nobles. Even 𝓤𝓲𝓴 can't help but chuckle at the Archduke's failure. Victor's mask slips. He spits out venomous accusations, claiming she's seduced the king and is now targeting a child. He calls her shameless, but Evelyn remains unfazed. She coldly warns him that clinging to her is like holding a frayed, dying rope. His laughter is sharp and dangerous. A silent vow is made. He will make Evelyn regret this day in blood. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 steps forward, offering his own carriage for her journey home. However, the step is far too high for her. Her injured leg makes boarding impossible. In a shocking move, 𝓤𝓲𝓴 drops to one knee, offering himself as her footstool. His motives are a mystery that terrifies her. As she boards, her delicate heels snap, leaving her momentarily vulnerable. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 looks at her with a twisted pity, urging her to rest. Evelyn sneers at his hollow, deceptive kindness. Seeing him play the concerned gentleman is revolting, but 𝓤𝓲𝓴 is unbothered by her burning hatred. He mocks heaven, thanking God she's alive just to face him. Confused and shaken, Evelyn masks her fear with a cold stare. She banishes him from her sight, demanding he never cross her path again. As the carriage rolls away, 𝓤𝓲𝓴's aide appears. The assistant notes his master's dark grin. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 remembers when Evelyn taught him the art of the kill. True joy isn't in the chase. It's the moment the prey stops running and finally decides to bite back. Evelyn is the ultimate prize. He's thrilled she has a family, a legacy, and a name worth protecting. He cherishes everything she loves, purely so he can savor the moment he tears it all away from her. When she discarded him like trash, 𝓤𝓲𝓴 realized how truly powerless he was. Those days are over. Now he'll use her own lessons to dismantle her life. Meanwhile, Evelyn accepts a mission that seems doomed from the start. The 𝓤𝓮𝓮 Railway project is a suicide mission. Even her loyal assistant, Isaac, fears this task is impossible. This legendary bridge was meant to link 𝓤𝓻𝓮 to the mineral-rich lands of 𝓤𝓮𝓮, a gateway to endless wealth. It was 𝓤𝓮𝓮𝓪's dream. He envisioned a sea-spanning railroad that would revolutionize the kingdom's trade and glory forever. Despite the skeptics and the doubters, he defied gravity and built a marvel that stunned the entire world. But triumph turned to tragedy. On the day of the grand opening, the train erupted into a terrifying inferno. Whether by sabotage or a fatal flaw, the project died that day. Now, Evelyn must resurrect her late husband's shattered legacy. Now, Evelyn carries the burden of the bridge. Isaac fears a deadly ambush or fatal flaw. Ruin seems inevitable to him, yet Evelyn remains unshaken by his doubts. Trapped by fate, she swore to seat Joshua on the throne to survive. As the nobility's figurehead, her voice would command the entire high court. Her house is crumbling, upheld only by the church. She needs true power. The 𝓤𝓮𝓮 project is her only salvation. A royal oath binds her to global expansion. Failure is no longer an option. Their legacy hangs by a thread. Suddenly, 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 Black appears, eyes cold with fury. He demands their credentials. To Evelyn, he is nothing but a persistent thorn. She mocks his interference, but he stands his ground, ordering her departure. This is the king's will, she snaps. It is 𝓤𝓲𝓴 who must retreat. Isaac is dismissed. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 clears the area, seeking a moment alone with her. Danger lurks in the shadows, and 𝓤𝓲𝓴 senses the impending threat. His lingering gaze confuses her. Despite her past cruelty, his devotion remains. Unlike the predatory victor, 𝓤𝓲𝓴 feels different. But Evelyn suppresses her heart. She must protect the empire her late husband left in her care. Memories of him haunt her, a man who lived for the nation's prosperity. To him, 𝓤𝓮𝓮 Bridge was the kingdom's beating heart. Lost in sorrow, she misses the sound of cracking stone above her. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 lunges, shielding her from death as freezing water bites her skin. He worries for her wound, yet she recoils from his touch. "Stubborn woman," he growls, warning her of the frostbite's price. She bites back with venom, refusing his help even as she falters. Losing patience, 𝓤𝓲𝓴 hoists her up, dragging her through the snow. They seek refuge in an old shed as the blizzard screams outside. Shadows of their shared past linger here, memories of a forbidden heat. Trapped in their old sanctuary, tension thickens between the former lovers. Silence reigns in the cabin, heavier than the storm outside. While 𝓤𝓲𝓴 gathers wood, Evelyn is drowned in waves of nostalgia. The walls haven't changed, echoing a past she desperately tried to bury. The fire flickers to life. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 beckons her toward the warmth. His survival skills surprise her, but he is a soldier now. The boy she once knew is gone. A dangerous man now touches her. She insists on leaving, but his grip is like iron. "The cold will claim you," he warns. She wonders if Victor waits. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 scoffs at her fear, his questions turning toward her dead husband. Surrounded by ghosts, 𝓤𝓲𝓴 finally lets his mask slip. He doubts her mourning, convinced 𝓤𝓮𝓮𝓪 was a shadow, not a man. A true lover wouldn't leave his wife to drown in this wreckage. Her fury blazes. She refuses to hear more lies about her beloved. She turns the blade on him, questioning his own suspicious presence. A legendary hero serving the Archduke? The pieces don't fit. To her, he is a hypocrite, a man playing at being a savior. He serves the monster, destroying her. Is this his twisted revenge? "You are nothing but a pitiful dog biting his owner," she spits. Evelyn was never a true master. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 spits out the bitter truth of her cruelty, how she discarded him like trash without a second thought. She sneers at his newfound defiance. With ice in her voice, she declares her unwavering devotion to the man she calls husband. "A noble union is sacred," she cries, mocking his lowly birth. Her poisonous words pierce through him, leaving nothing but cold silence. The games are over. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 looks at this venomous woman and finds her sacred marriage nothing but a pathetic joke. This very shed witnessed their forbidden sins. Yet here she stands, shamelessly claiming her marriage is untainted. The hypocrisy is truly deafening. "Did you wear white?" he whispers darkly. He reminds her that she was already stained long before she ever walked down that aisle. Her innocence was a mere mask, a lie fed to the priest and the entire world. Her love is a foul lie. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 strikes where it hurts most, dragging her precious husband's name through the dirt. A sharp slap rings out. 𝓤𝓲𝓴 only smirks through the pain, vowing that her husband will never see the gates of heaven. Furiously, she strikes him again. She spits that his very existence is a filthy stain on her refined life. "Forget our disgusting past," she screams. Her blows are desperate, fueled by a frantic need to erase their history. Blood trickles from his lip. Gillas wipes the crimson and smears it across her mouth, a terrifying mark of what is to come. He promises to show her true depravity. Consumed by a manic rage, Evelyn's hands tighten around his throat. She wants him dead. Gillas simply wonders if her husband knows the murderous demon hiding behind his wife's beautiful face. Blinded by bloodlust, she vows to send him to hell. You can ask my husband yourself once you are rotting there. But Gillas won't fall so easily to his greatest enemy. He smiles. It is not his time to leave this world just yet. The tables turn in a heartbeat. Gillas draws cold steel, pointing a gun directly between her wide, terrified eyes. A glimpse into the past. When he first heard of her wedding, he wanted to vanish forever, unable to bear the agony. If he had just disappeared, his heart might have remained intact. But she stopped him. She begged him to stay, promising eternity in their secret moments. Yet, she was the first to tear those promises apart and cast him out. She exiled him under the cruel lie of granting him freedom. Since she wanted him to live, he did exactly that. But now, his survival has only one purpose: absolute and utter vengeance. He wandered through the shadows until fate led him to save the life of the Archduke. Victor was indebted to this nameless warrior. It was Evelyn who gave him a name, and now Gillas Black would become her nightmare. He will climb from the dirt, making that commoner's name echo with power across the entire empire. Abandoned by all, he has rewritten his destiny. Now, it is time for his enemies to pay the blood price. The moment of reckoning is here. The barrel of his gun remains steady, aimed at the woman who broke him. Distance away, a shot echoes. His men watch the smoke rise. Unfazed, this was exactly what their master had planned. Ready the carriage. The Winter family thinks they have seen trouble, but their world is about to crumble entirely. Victor is ready to unleash his wrath. He prepares a devastating gift and reaches out to the Winter estate. Evelyn is absent, leaving only the governess to hear his mocking laughter at their family's pathetic, stiff pride. The trap is set. Right on cue, a frantic shadow stumbles into the mansion, carrying the scent of total disaster. It is Isaac, bloodied and broken. He brings news that will shatter Evelyn's remaining hope into 1,000 pieces. An ambush. The vital blueprints for the 𝓤𝓮𝓮 project have been snatched away, leaving their future in complete ruins. But the nightmare is just beginning. Victor's soldiers arrive, delivering a killing blow to the Winter family's legacy. Evelyn is oblivious to the chaos at home, still trapped in the suffocating shadow of Gillas. The shot was not a bullet, but a flare, a signal to the gods of war that the hunt has officially begun. His ironclad soldiers arrive. Gillas demands she enter the carriage. He will escort her to the ruins of her life. She sneers, thinking he missed his chance to kill her. She believes she is safe, but she has never been more wrong. Gillas just laughs. Her pride is a hollow shell, while her entire empire is being systematically dismantled. Back at the estate, Victor delivers the final strike. A special surprise for the lonely mistress of Winter. Every inch of land surrounding her home now belongs to him. He relishes the thought of her realization that she is trapped. Years ago, she sold the Winter lands to a faceless buyer. That ghost has finally returned to haunt her. Victor now rules half their territory, having built a towering fortress right under her arrogant, unsuspecting nose. A golden invitation is delivered. The Winter family is summoned to the Black Mansion to witness their own demise. The Hound has returned as a master. The Archduke gave everything to Gillas Black, making them neighbors. Evelyn is paralyzed with shock. She can't believe the man she once treated like a dog now owns her land. With a twisted smirk, Gillas mocks her, wondering how her late husband feels about his territory being sold. He issues a chilling invitation to his party, not a request, but a mandatory order from the Archduke himself. Trapped and powerless, Evelyn must accept. A dangerous game begins now that these two share the same space. Arriving home, Evelyn finds her mansion in a state of absolute, bone-chilling panic. Seeing Gillas lurking, she dismisses him with cold exhaustion, refusing to let him see her internal struggle. Once he leaves, her servants swarm her, terrified for their mistress's safety. Evelyn ignores her own fatigue. Her heart breaks seeing her assistant Isaac brutally beaten and bloodied. With the secret document stolen, all they can do is heal their wounds and pray for a doctor. Days pass in a blur of anxiety. Even while bathing, she wonders what cruel fate the Archduke is planning. Is he truly intent on erasing the Winter name by seizing their entire territory? In the cold silence, she misses Rowan. He was the only one who could navigate this sea of snakes. Before his death, he warned her, the king's failing health would bring ruin to their noble house. A bloody war for the throne is coming, and their family will be forced into the crossfire. Rowan left no allies, only enemies. The Winter Mansion stands alone against the gathering storm of betrayal. Evelyn plays the part of a strong duchess, but beneath her mask, she is drowning in exhaustion. Fear has poisoned her home. Every servant is terrified, and Evelyn aches for her husband's lost protection. Surrounded by monsters with no one to trust, she begins to sink into the dark, suffocating waters. Her hope fades until a small presence breaks the surface of her despair. Little Sherry jumps into the tub, terrifying her mother. Evelyn's fear instantly explodes into a protective, frantic rage. She begins to scold her, but stops when she sees the baby girl's face. She's trembling and sobbing. Realizing Sherry is just as lonely and scared, Evelyn finds a new, burning resolve to protect her child. She won't run. She promised Rowan she would hold the line, and she will fulfill that oath. Their quiet moment is shattered by a violent crash echoing from the mansion's front gates. An intruder is smashing his way inside, effortlessly tossing aside the guards with monstrous, overwhelming strength. A handsome stranger bursts into the room, claiming to be a doctor as he reaches out for Evelyn. He tries to touch her forehead, but Evelyn meets his overfamiliarity with a sharp, resounding slap. The man hits the floor but gives a cheeky thumbs up. This doctor is clearly out of his mind. Suddenly, she recognizes him. It's Oscar Cole, her longtime friend, finally returning to the Winter Mansion's aid. As the household settles, Evelyn prepares for battle while Oscar stays by her side as a trusted advisor. Unbeknownst to them, a masked observer lurks in the trees, watching their every move with a predatory gaze. Oscar lets out a cynical laugh, convinced that Evelyn's new plan is nothing more than a suicidal joke. Rebuilding the 𝓲𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓽𝓮 Bridge? It's a legendary task that even Rowan couldn't conquer before his untimely end. The commoners already despise the nobility. Starting such a massive project now is like dousing a fire in oil. If they proceed, the angry masses will surely rise up and tear the Winter family apart. Evelyn changes the subject, hating how formal and distant Oscar has become since they were children. She misses the days when she, Oscar, and Rowan were a trio of inseparable friends without any worries. Oscar's expression softens as little Sherry enters the room, looking for her favorite uncle. He is overjoyed to see her, marveling at how much the little princess has grown in his absence. But the joy is short-lived. No matter how much he coaxes her, the girl remains hauntingly silent. To hide his heartbreak, he promises to catch rabbits with her before gently sending her away. Once alone, Oscar finally addresses the unspoken tragedy: Sherry's haunting silence. That traumatic incident from years ago still haunts the child, leaving her voice locked away in fear. That day was a nightmare. Rowan Winter intervened just as a blade was leveled at Cher's throat. A second later, all would be lost. The memory makes Evelyn dizzy, and her cup shatters. Oscar watches her with mounting dread. Her fragile state betrays her sleepless nights, but Evelyn's mind is miles away from her own health. Haunted by Gillis's icy gaze, she turns to Oscar with a desperate plea for help. Meanwhile, innocent little Sherry is off on an adventure, spotting a tiny rabbit darting through the estate. Like a child in a fairy tale, she dreams of bringing her prize back to her mother. Joy fuels her tiny legs as she gives chase, but someone else reaches the prey first. A thunderous gunshot rings out, and the rabbit falls lifeless before Sherry's terrified eyes. A masked figure looms over her. Evelyn is oblivious, still explaining the crisis to Oscar. To her only ally, she reveals that the Winter family is facing total ruin. Oscar is stunned, unable to fathom who could orchestrate such a massive collapse. She is about to reveal Gillis's return when a frantic interruption shatters their moment of honesty. Something happened to Sherry. They race outside, and the sight that greets Evelyn stops her heart. Staining the snow is fresh blood and her daughter's hat. Let us look back at Evelyn's life first. You might think a noblewoman's life is perfect, but Evelyn's past is a canvas of tragedy. It all began to unravel the moment her husband drew his final breath. A venomous rumor spread that Evelyn was the true architect of the Winter family's downfall. Branded a cursed woman, she was blamed for her cousin's death since the day of her birth. The world called her a witch, and in her despair, even Evelyn believed the lies. Withdrawn and broken, she lived in the shadows, waiting for death to claim her. In that dark void, a savior appeared, her own daughter, though she didn't recognize the child. Mistaking the steps for a servant's, she felt hollow sadness at their supposed disobedience. She barked at the newcomer to flee, terrified her presence would act as a death sentence. The shadows of her fallen kin, her cousins, her uncle, and her husband haunted her daily. It felt as though a hungry curse followed her, refusing to rest until everyone was ash. Believing herself a monster, she hid away until a small, warm hand reached out to her. The presence didn't flinch at her darkness. Instead, it drew closer, defying the silence. Sherry's tiny hands became a lifeline. whispering that even a broken soul deserves to live. Looking into her daughter's eyes, Evelyn saw a reflection of pure, untainted love. Those eyes were a bridge to her happy past. Sherry was the only light left. Her daughter was her sanctuary. When her life felt over, Sherry gave her a reason to live. Now, that light is gone. Panic grips the mansion as guards scour every frozen corner. The intruder moved like a ghost, suggesting someone with intimate knowledge of the mansion. Evelyn is deaf to their reports, her eyes locked on a shadow across the river. Thinking she sees Sherry and Rowan, she plunges into the icy river, ignoring the danger. The biting cold is nothing compared to her desperation. Yet she is still too late. As the figures begin to fade, Evelyn collapses to her knees, her pride shattered. She begs Rowan to spare the child, offering her own life as a sacrifice. Her pleas echo through the void, but the phantom image finally begins to clear. It is the dominant Gillis Black standing there, holding a shivering bundle inside his coat. Sherry is safe, protected by the man who rose from nothing to absolute power. A predator cornered the girl, but Gillis and his hunters saved her, though the man escaped. The details of the narrow escape mean nothing to Evelyn in this moment of relief. Only the warmth of her daughter matters as they cling to each other, weeping. For the first time, Evelyn bows her head, admitting she is now at Gillis's mercy. To settle the debt, Evelyn invites him to her estate. Gillis accepts with a cold smile. Peace shatters when Oscar arrives. He immediately scolds Evelyn for risking her health in the freezing river. He brushes past the stranger, but stops dead in his tracks. He recognizes that face. Memories flood back of a fourth person from their past, their lowly personal painter, Gillis Black. Tension suffocates the winter mansion as they return. The air is thick with unspoken history. Even the maids tremble in fear. Oscar stares at Evelyn and the guest with wide, disbelieving eyes. He watches Gillis as if he were a monster returned from the depths of hell. Doubt lingers until Gillis answers to his name. The old friend is relieved to find a familiar face. As the men speak, Evelyn cuts in. She offers a cold thanks to Gillis for saving her child. Gillis sneers at her words. He mocks Evelyn for having a trail of enemies behind her. Indebted, she swallows her pride and offers to organize his grand debut party. Gillis refuses. Instead, he plays a cruel game, suggesting Oscar as her partner for the ball. The room turns to ice. Both are stunned by his sudden, bold suggestion. He claims her late husband would approve of an old friend. Evelyn explodes at his blatant disrespect. She reminds him of the wall between them. A commoner has no right to speak such filth. Gillis offers a mocking apology. He ridicules her for clinging to the superficial rules of noble etiquette. While soldiers bleed on the battlefield, nobles waste time on useless manners and high culture. To settle the score, he demands a guest room within her mansion for the night. A snowstorm rages outside as Gillis settles in. In his room, Oscar is consumed by mounting dread. The energy between those two is terrifying. He wonders what dark secrets they shared in altar. He cannot believe the former servant has climbed the ranks to become a powerful colonel. Their mutual hatred is baffling. Once, the master and her dog were inseparable in their devotion. Suddenly, a shocking realization strikes Oscar, leaving him paralyzed with fear. Alone, fever ravages Evelyn. She reaches for the bell but hesitates, refusing to show any weakness. While searching for medicine, she notices her study door has been left wide open. Expecting Oscar, she finds a phantom instead. Oscar, meanwhile, is losing his mind in his room. A hidden memory resurfaces. Years ago, he saw Gillis steal a kiss from the sleeping lady. That was no humble servant. It was the gaze of a man possessed by forbidden obsession. The intruder stands in the dark, staring intensely at her wedding portrait. Evelyn catches him. Shocked to find Gillis there, she demands answers. He merely offers a haunting compliment to the art. Evelyn is furious. She denounces him as a rude guest for prowling her home at night. Seeing his arrogance, she orders him to leave her estate and return to his own manor. Gillis remains silent, fueling her anxiety. She is certain he is weaving a trap for her. She is trapped. She cannot leave him alone, yet calling for help would expose their scandalous past. Her head throbs with pain. Suddenly, the source of her misery reaches out and touches her. Her skin is scorching. He commands her to summon a doctor, but she stubbornly refuses his help. Jealousy flares as he mocks her secret trysts with Oscar. He knows exactly how to provoke her. She tries to lash out, but the fever breaks her. She can only whisper a weak denial. He continues his taunts while drinking wine. Evelyn can only manage small sips of water. The sickness twists her mind. She begins to imagine scandalous, forbidden things with the man before her. Seeking relief, she accidentally drinks his wine. The burning liquid sends her into a coughing fit. He gently pours her water, mocking her fragile nature while tending to her like a predator. He notes her constant need for attention. But Evelyn is far gone, lost in a drunken haze. Hallucinating the past, she reaches out and tenderly caresses his face. He tries to pull away, but she collapses into his strong arms and falls into sleep. Julius gazes at his former mistress. He cold-heartedly drapes a blanket over her shivering form. Movement outside stops him. Suddenly, Evelyn's desperate arms lock around his waist from behind. Her shivering pleas for warmth break his resolve. Julius chooses to stay by her side. Trapped in the dark together, Evelyn falls into a feverish dream of a crimson fox. She dreams of gifting a scarf to Gillis, the man she once treated like a dog. Her prize morphs into a nightmare, her uncle's severed, bloody head staring back at her. The head speaks, branding her a curse that brought ruin to their entire bloodline. Evelyn spirals into terror, desperately begging to prove her innocence in the waking nightmare. Rowan appears as her savior, vowing to protect her from the haunting ghosts of her past. Her relief vanishes as Gillis abandons her. She screams his name until reality finally returns. Awakening, she finds herself cradled in Gillis's lap. He remains unbothered, calmly reading a book. Fearing she confessed her secrets, he looks down and swears she didn't say a word. He tends to her fever, commanding her back into his lap with strange, dominant care. Evelyn fears a scandal. Gillis scoffs, his newfound power making him completely untouchable. He promises a secret exit. His only demand is her recovery, leaving her utterly confused. She wonders, is this mercy for the weak, or a predator playing with his prey? Is he plotting the Winter family's ruin while she lies there, wine-dazed and vulnerable? Peace shouldn't feel this sweet on an enemy's lap. By morning, Gillis has vanished. She watches his retreat from the window. The once scorned boy is now a man of secrets. He lied about her sleep-talking. The truth of that night remains locked in his heart. She had clung to him like a child, nearly sealing her fate with a kiss. The day of Keyless's celebration arrives. The grand hall overflows with the Empire's elite. Commoners stand in awe, mingling with the famous faces of the high nobility. Even an archduke couldn't rival this. Gillis has built a kingdom of his own. A disgraced noble begs for attention. Behind him, the commoners sneer at his pathetic fall. He trades his title for gambling debts. The nobleman is now just a desperate beggar. Count Theodore is a laughingstock. The commoners realize the crown of nobility has rusted. Status is dead. In this new era, only gold and raw power define worth. The man of the hour appears. Gillis Black exudes a dangerous aura of dominance. He waits in solitude until Victor arrives, praising the commander's magnificent triumph. Victor drags our hero from the shadows, thrusting him into the center of the ball. He teases Gillis about the lady's hungry gazes. He's become the Empire's greatest prize, but he ignores them all. His predatory gaze searches for the only woman missing. He stares toward the Winter Mansion. Across the way, the servants are in a panic. The banquet starts soon, yet their mistress refuses to even start her transformation. She rejects every luxury gown. The maids despair as she tosses aside expensive imports. Ignoring the latest fashions, Evelyn demands a dress from her past, buried away. She chooses comfort over status, ordering her maid to bring her most personal attire. The tension rises. Meanwhile, a special guest finally arrives at the Colonel's ball. It isn't Evelyn. Victor presents a gift to Gillis, the most popular noblewoman in Alter. Lady Perez has arrived, a legendary beauty summoned specifically for the new war hero. Sonia Perez steps from the carriage, her purple hair shimmering with royal elegance. Victor pushes Gillis forward, insisting he take charge of his beautiful relative. Proclaimed the continent's supreme beauty, Gillis is forced to play the perfect, charming host. He bows to the shy lady, offering his hand for the night's opening dance. Just as her fingers brush his, a sudden rumble echoes. The final, most anticipated guest has arrived. Murmurs sweep the ballroom as a silhouette emerges. Behold, the sovereign of the Winter family, Evelyn Winter herself. But her entrance triggers mockery, not awe. She's draped in somber black, looking more like a mourning widow. Clad in a dark veil and gown, Evelyn remains unfazed by their cruel laughter. Whispers of insanity ripple through the crowd. Turning to Victor, Evelyn's voice drips with icy disappointment. She followed his summons only to be insulted. Fearing the fallout, Victor quickly vows to show her hospitality. Seizing the moment, Evelyn issues a bold decree. Gillis will be her escort for this evening's festivities. Shockwaves hit the room as Gillis kneels, kissing her hand. The Archduke's face darkens with pure irritation. While Victor schemes in the shadows, Sonia's eyes burn with hatred, branding Evelyn a wicked witch. Evelyn glides in on Gillis Black's arm, sparking fierce jealousy. Why would the legendary colonel escort her? Her funeral attire is an insult to society. Has the winter heiress truly lost her mind? Ignoring the venomous tongues, Evelyn thanks Gillis. His presence is the ultimate weapon to provoke their envy. The man once treated like a dog is now the star. Meanwhile, the Perez family's dark history looms. Count Perez was a nobody until his daughter played her cards and ensnared the king's heart. Bearing a royal heir, she rose from a mere maid to the king's most powerful mistress. But destiny is cruel. Just as their status peaked, the concubine met a sudden, tragic end. With her death, the Perez family's newfound glory began to crumble into dust. Earlier, Victor told Sonia to discard her pride. In this world, a pristine reputation is a luxury. The era is shifting. Only gold, steel, and overwhelming force dictate who survives the coming storm. Only raw power can act as a dam against the tides of impending chaos. Victor eyes his perfect human shield Gillis. Unaware he's a pawn, Gillis extends a hand to Sonia. Feigning modesty, Sonia beams as she accepts. She's thrilled to be the chosen one for his dance. Her heart swells with vanity as the crowd whispers, admiring them as the ball's most striking couple. Rumors fly that Gillis is the Archduke's future brother-in-law. To Sonia, those whispers are music. Wrapped in his powerful embrace, she feels invincible. Surely this man would be her ultimate protector. His birth is a stain, yet his rejection of Evelyn makes Sonia feel like a victorious queen. Superiority tastes sweet. Meanwhile, Evelyn couldn't care less about Sonia's petty, one-sided competition. Bored by the party, Evelyn watches from afar. She's secretly impressed Gillis hasn't tripped over his feet. Memories resurface of a shy Gillis who once begged to refuse her. Back then, she demanded obedience. He was like a devoted hound, joyful in his absolute submission to her. He moves with the grace she beat into him, yet he breaks one final, crucial rule. She taught him to gaze only at his partner, but his burning eyes are fixed solely on Evelyn. Her thoughts are interrupted as Victor looms over her, demanding a dance she never wanted. Mocking her solitude, Victor claims she's been abandoned. Evelyn dismisses his jabs with cold indifference. She has no desire for the floor. Yet the Archduke refuses to leave her in peace. "A beauty like yours shouldn't wilt," he whispers. Being a widow shouldn't stop her from playing. He offers a dance as comfort, but Evelyn knows his games. He smirks the nightmare has just begun. Sonia stumbles, panicking that Gillis will notice. But his soul is elsewhere, drifting far away. Following his gaze, she realizes he's fixated on another couple entirely. Rage flares within Gillis as he sees Victor's hand on Evelyn. The sight of them dancing is unbearable. As they swirl, Victor pries into her business. Evelyn's sharp sarcasm about her success earns a fake smile. She reminds him that his gift left her secretary broken. Her voice is like sharpened steel. Victor denies his crimes. Evelyn's patience finally begins to snap. Refusing to let the stolen blueprint slide, she confronts him. But Victor forces her into the rhythm. "Your mind is clouded," he scoffs. "Just dance, Evelyn. Perhaps then you'll see things my way." Sonia's blood is boiling. Every time she tries to speak, the colonel's eyes remain locked on Evelyn. It's happening again. Her jealousy reaches a dangerous breaking point. Sensing the tension, Velis tries to escape the noise. Suddenly, the Archduke collides with them and offers a shallow apology. A silent signal passes between the cousins. Sonia knows exactly what her role is now. She fakes a stumble, feigning a twisted ankle. She begs Gillis to carry her to a secluded place. Victor sneers, calling his sister's act mere nerves. He mocks how perfectly the two of them match. His fake concern is nauseating. Evelyn tells him to save his pity for his sister instead. Despite his past cruelty, Victor proposes a reconciliation. He actually believes she'll crawl back to him. Evelyn isn't that foolish anymore. The music stops, and she cuts him loose without a word. He tries to force her to stay. She ignores his desperate grip and walks away from his influence. Evelyn's mind is a chaotic mess. Where are the blueprints Victor was supposed to flaunt today? He should be making deals, not staying silent. What is his true, twisted endgame? Was the dance just a trap to humiliate her? She imagines the crowd's cruel laughter ringing in her ears. His plan remains a mystery. All she feels is the sting of her injured pride. She vents her frustration in the shadows. Suddenly, an intruder breaks her solitude in the hiding spot. A voice calls her name. Meanwhile, Gillis is tending to Sonia in a private bedroom. The injury is a complete fabrication. Gillis, ever the loyal soldier, suspects nothing but a simple spasm. He's focused on her foot. She's focused on claiming the predator's prize for herself. She finally notices his rugged charm. His loyalty to the Archduke makes him even more alluring. She decides right then he will be hers. Seeing her silence, Gileas calls for a medic. Panic hits Sonia. A doctor would ruin the act. She lunges from the bed to stop him. Another clumsy slip sends her into Gila's arms. She clings to him, refusing to let go. While Sonia plays her games, Evelyn faces a real threat. A desperate stranger has cornered her. He's a pathetic outcast. He begs her to save him from his own ruin. Upstairs, Sonia's manipulation intensifies. She whispers that only Gilas's embrace makes her feel safe. Her hands wander, savoring his strength. She lingers on his tie, curious about its secret origin. She keeps him trapped in her web. They wait for the perfect moment to be discovered together. Evelyn recognizes the beggar, Count Theodore. His words are poisoned with a bitter, noble spite. He spits on the commoners. To him, they are beneath the very dirt on his boots. Evelyn warns him to hold his tongue. Reckless words have a habit of being overheard by enemies. Her caution only enrages the Count. He scoffs at her concern for such lowly opinions. He sees everyone as beneath his bloodline. He calls Evelyn's very presence at the ball a disgrace. Injured and mocked, she's the talk of the ball. He revels in her supposed public humiliation. He claims the whole room is laughing behind her back. Evelyn remains cold and completely unmoved. She orders him to crawl back to his hole. Theodore's pride shatters into pure, unadulterated rage. He refuses to accept a world where commoners rule. Evelyn has heard enough of his delusions. She turns to leave, but he snaps. He grabs her, desperate to force a business deal. He wants her money for his failing projects. Evelyn's response is a sharp, stinging slap. She exposes his pathetic reality, a gambler who traded his dignity for a seat at the table. She demands he leave before he stains the nobility further. Her words cut deeper than any blade. Theodore is furious and loses control. He snarls that she is no better than he is. He mocks her failing finances. He claims she's just hunting for a rich husband before it's too late. Evelyn isn't a damsel in distress. She delivers a brutal kick to Theodore's groin. But the man fights back. He grabs her hair and slams her skull into the floor. He screams that they are both in the gutter. Gilas has no idea Evelyn is being brutalized. Gilas remains with Sonia, sensing hidden eyes. He throws open the door, discovering only a pair feigning a secret tryst. The spies vanish instantly. Seizing the opening, Gilas offers to fetch a drink, successfully escaping Sonia's suffocating grasp. He returns to the fray, but his prey is gone. Elsewhere, Evelyn struggles as the vile Theodore prepares his assault. He knows her silence is guaranteed. In this den of snakes, the victim is always the one who is devoured. His boldness grows, yet Evelyn needs no hero. She is fully prepared to trample this pathetic insect on her own. Theodore whispers poison, claiming he is merely granting her pleasure while the world is distracted by the festive celebrations. Deluded by his own lust, he lunges forward just as the door bursts open to reveal the dark shadow of Gilas. Meanwhile, Sonia waits like a hopeful doll, wondering if the drink Gilas brings will finally break their cold tension. She envisions a night of drunken passion, unaware that her romantic delusions are destined to end in bitter heartbreak. As fireworks paint the sky, she gazes outside. The sight below strikes her heart with pure, chilling terror. Gilas is fleeing the gala, cradling a woman. His own necktie is bound tightly around her ankle, a mark of possession. Rewind to the confrontation. Giles enters, bottle in hand, only to witness Theodore and Evelyn in a disgraceful embrace. Unfazed by his sins, Theodore glares at Juice with pure, arrogant venom. He sneeringly demands the colonel vanish, reminding him that a mere soldier belongs at the ball. Zhu feigns an apology while refusing to budge, coldly advising the lovers to head inside before they freeze. He even offers his guest room for their tryst, his chilling indifference leaving Evelyn seething. Gilas drinks with icy calm. She refuses to enter, ordering the man she once trampled to leave his own grounds. He mocks her, claiming this mansion as his. He only wishes to feel the breeze while watching her tremble. Horror gripped Evelyn. Gilas was actually relishing this. He was simply mirroring the sadistic joy she once felt. Rage blinded Evelyn completely. Since Gilas craved a spectacle, she would give him a performance he'd never forget. Treating Theodore like a mere plaything, she claims his lips. Her cold eyes stay locked on Gila, hunting for a spark of jealous desperation. Yet he doesn't budge, sipping with chilling indifference. Her pride shatters in his cold presence. Evelyn treats Theodore like a stray dog, tossing coins and mocking his pathetic lack of skill. She sneers that no woman would keep him, calling the change a reward for his entertainment. Driven to madness, Theodore hurls insults in a wine bottle, aiming to scar her face. A hand of iron suddenly crushes his throat. It is Gilas, his eyes burning with fury. The Count trembles before this predator, his pride shattering as he begs Gilas for mercy. Evelyn intervenes, unwilling to let Gilas ruin his own meticulously planned banquet for this trash. The master of the house relents, tossing the terrified Theodore aside like a broken toy. Overwhelmed by Gilas's terrifying aura, Theodore makes a desperate suicidal leap from the balcony. Chaos erupts as the party shatters, leaving the two main culprits in cold, bitter silence. With the host's duty calling, Gilas must descend to face the wreckage of his night. Evelyn tries to walk away, but Gilas refuses to let her move on injured legs. The world searches for the Duke, but his focus is obsessively fixed on Evelyn alone. He ignores his frantic guests, caring only for the depth of the wounds she hides. Using his tie as a bandage, he sweeps her up and abandons his own mansion. She warns of future regrets, but his ears are closed to her protests now. "Be quiet," he growls, whisking her away through the back gates in a private carriage. Evelyn scoffs at his sudden protection, even as his elite guards shield them from view. Despite the Archduke's looming wrath, they share the bitter taste of a night gone wrong. While fireworks light the sky, the carriage carries them into a deep, suffocating darkness. Gilas slams the wall in frustration. Both are drowning in a sea of unspoken despair. Everything has fallen apart, leaving their once simple lives in a tangled, irreparable mess. The banquet is over, but the legend of this scandalous night has just begun. Count Theodore's sudden plunge has the capital whispering. Was it a drunken stumble or the colonel's calculated, cold-blooded shove? A dark rumor spreads a mysterious woman was lurking in the shadows with them. Evelyn is savoring a quiet game of chess when a sudden guest invades her peace. She frowns, wondering who would dare show up without a proper invitation. The visitor is revealed, leaving them breathless. It's Prince Joshua. Oscar is paralyzed with shock. He remembers a fragile boy. Seeing Joshua as a 19-year-old man moves Oscar to tears. A decade has vanished like a dream. The little boy has ascended into adulthood. Evelyn dismisses the overly dramatic Oscar, inviting the prince to finally take a seat. Oscar flees the board, happy to let Joshua become Evelyn's next victim. Joshua feels hesitant. Rowan's legacy of kindness remains legendary. Even the crown prince cherishes those golden memories. Back then, Joshua was the student, and Rowan was the master of the chessboard. Joshua was always mesmerized by the Duke's lethal calm. His mind was an impenetrable fortress. Elsewhere, the banquet's secrets haunt Sonia. She turns to her cousin for the truth. She asks Victor if the colonel's heart belongs to someone, but he scoffs at it. Victor dismisses her fears, yet Sonia trusts her eyes. The banquet scandal is just beginning. She whispers the venomous rumors currently poisoning the city's high society. Evelyn Winter was on that balcony during the fall. Meanwhile, Joshua tastes defeat in chess. Oscar cries foul. He accuses Evelyn of using nostalgia to shatter the prince's focus. Evelyn is unfazed. Weakness is no excuse. She's done playing and demands the cold truth. Why would a crown prince come here alone, abandoned by his entire royal guard? Gilas dresses, his back a map of brutal scars. A letter from Scorpion calls him out. Sudden fate. They collide with the Archduke right outside the mansion gates. Victor's eyes narrow, questioning why the main character is wandering so early. They must talk. Joshua finally shatters the silence, revealing the terrifying reason for his secret visit. The Red Hawk Brotherhood, a rebel ghost society Oscar thought was purged years ago. The purge was a lie. The Brotherhood still breathes. Their seal is reappearing in shadows. Gilas offers a sharp salute, masking his surprise at the Archduke's unannounced arrival. Victor brushes aside formalities. Their conversation is far too dangerous for polite protocol. Joshua is drowning in anxiety. Neither the academy nor the castle would give him answers. He came for a specific purpose. He was tired of always losing on this board. The Duke never won alone. Evelyn was the shadow architect, directing every winning move. She was his personal goddess of victory, the true power behind the Duke's genius. Joshua still burns with the memory of Evelyn's promise to play him one day. After years of grueling practice, the fateful game finally begins. The pieces are set. 4 spies vanish into the market crowd. Their mission: hunt down the secret brotherhood. However, focus is a rare luxury for 2 of these supposed secret agents. Oscar and Sherry immediately ditch the mission, lured away by the market's vibrant chaos. Evelyn's patience thins at their childishness. She offers the prince a sincere apology. Joshua smiles. Don't treat me like royalty. One wrong word and our cover is blown. She uses his nickname, making him flush. Meanwhile, Gilas and the Archduke face off. Gilas serves tea, but Victor's gaze is sharp. Is this a gift from Evelyn? He cloaks his interrogation in a joke, but his eyes speak of lethal rumors. He warns Gilas, Sonia is smelling a scandalous bond between him and Evelyn. Victor knows Evelyn was there. Gilas admits he was the one who spirited her away. Gilas acted to kill the rumors before they spread. The prince's pride takes a hit. As they navigate the streets, a mysterious old woman blocks their path with her fruit. A merchant gushes over his handsome face until she asks him to pick some fruit for his lovely wife. Joshua panics and stammers a denial, but Evelyn swiftly intervenes by claiming they are merely siblings. She maintains her commoner disguise perfectly while haggling, but once they leave, she warns Joshua to stay sharp. He must ignore such comments because even a minor slip could expose their secret identities to the world. Joshua is left in awe, telling Evelyn it seems there is absolutely nothing she does not know. He yearns to match her intellect, yet constantly belittles his own excellence by comparing himself to Rowan. When Joshua first encountered Rowan at age 19, the man's overwhelming presence had already left him breathless. Joshua fought tooth and nail to rank first, becoming the continent's legendary genius of the next generation. Despite the world's adoration, Joshua feels like a failure who hasn't achieved nearly enough. Standing in Rowan's immense shadow makes his own growth feel insignificant as Victor desperately seeks Gilas's secrets. Our protagonist has found the perfect strategy to bury any rumors regarding Evelyn's whereabouts for good. They will lure the ghost out of hiding, as Gilas has finally uncovered Rowan's secret location. While wandering the marketplace, a fragile little girl blocks their path and stops them in their tracks. She begs them to buy her unsold flowers, and Joshua immediately promises to purchase her entire stock. Watching his kindness, Evelyn sees a ghost of someone else and tells him to stop mimicking Rowan. He need not be a shadow of another man while they hunt for Rowan's actual hiding place. If they remain stealthy, the truth will surface soon as the little girl joyfully skips away. Evelyn's eyes follow her into an alley where a mysterious figure gently pats the child's head. That silhouette is unmistakable to her eyes. It is her husband, the man who should be Rowan. She is frozen, staring intensely at the figure until Joshua breaks her trance and draws her away. He presents her with a stunning bouquet, hoping the crown prince's gift will finally make her smile. He suggests moving on, but she can only look back at the empty corner where the ghost vanished. Gilas beams with predatory delight after sending off the Archduke, certain that Rowan is finally trapped. His assistant suggests a quick execution, wondering what the final fate of Rowan Winter should be. Gilas refuses, demanding the man be dragged back alive regardless of how much he struggles or fights. The assistant is baffled by this mercy, realizing the colonel's cold methods have twisted into something new. This change isn't kindness, it is a dark obsession born from the betrayal he suffered from Evelyn Winter. He won't grant a quick death. He intends to make the couple suffer a slow, agonizing end together. Though his mind brands her an enemy, his heart still burns with the memory of her touch. Consumed by thoughts of her, he accidentally burns himself and flees into the night to cool his rage. While the leads work, Oscar struggles to handle little Sherry as she demands a mountain of chocolates. Her obsession with sweets mirrors Rowan's old habits, bringing back memories of their past travels together. Oscar once thought Rowan had a sweet tooth, but the treats were always meant for Evelyn. The realization of Rowan's silent devotion finally hits Oscar, making him regret his past ignorance. He nearly has a heart attack when Sherry snoops around a carriage, ignoring every frantic warning he gives. Unaware of the kids' mischief, Joshua and Evelyn discover chilling evidence of a gathering storm. The Red Hawk Society is marking the city, and Evelyn senses a dangerous shadow tailing them. She pulls Joshua close under the guise of a scarf adjustment, whispering a warning about their stalker. She orders him to meet her at the back gate, but the protective prince refuses to leave her. Worried for her safety, Joshua persists until Evelyn delivers a sharp, humbling whack to his backside. After ditching the stubborn boy, Evelyn ignores her own plan and sprints back toward the mysterious alleyway. Driven by obsession, she finds a man who resembles Rowan, only to find a thug abusing a child. The man reacts with hostility, but Evelyn refuses to believe her eyes have deceived her about Rowan. Her focus wavers for a second too long, allowing a group of street thugs to surround her. The leader leers at his new prey, baring his teeth as he tears off her cap to see her. Lust flares at her beauty. Now that she's cornered, he plans to savor her before letting her go. He continues his pathetic chatter, but Evelyn treats his presence like a mere buzzing insect. Suddenly, a mysterious savior intervenes. A masked stranger steps from the shadows to shield Evelyn from harm. True to the heroine trope, a handsome guardian appears exactly when the lady is in distress. Posing as her husband, he orders the thugs to vanish. Evelyn is stunned. She recognizes this face. He is one of Gilas's elite soldiers. Ignorant of his power, a thug foolishly dares to challenge him. The soldier delivers a brutal thrashing, terrifying the crowd. Evelyn stops him before he breaks the man's bones. Despising the sight of blood, she insists they leave. Her fake husband obeys her with surprising submission. The thug regains his bravado once they leave, until his friend reveals the savior's terrifying true identity. He's 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮's Black's right-hand man. Rescued by her enemy's shadow, Evelyn shows absolutely zero gratitude. Catching him off guard, she suddenly draws a gun and aims it directly between his eyes. He begs for mercy, but Evelyn is certain he's been stalking her. She ignores his desperate pleas of innocence. She suspects 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 ordered her surveillance. The soldier insists he was merely performing a routine patrol. He couldn't ignore her plight. When questioned about his civilian clothes, he claims it is his day off. What a dedicated employee, working even during his precious break. He regrets his heroism now that a gun greets his face. Evelyn calms down and demands his name. He is Lieutenant Derek Howard. She offers a handkerchief and a promise to remember him before departing. Our heroine's instincts were right. Derek is far more suspicious than he looks. Once she's gone, the bullied girl approaches him. It was a staged trap, and the child wants payment. He buys her silence with cold cash. 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 remains completely unaware of his assistant's secret schemes. He visits a sweet shop next. The owner's warm welcome proves he is a frequent visitor here. We were right. The owner's son even offers the regular customer a piece of free candy. The father trembles because 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 is notoriously picky, yet our male lead graciously accepts the child's gift. Fate strikes again as someone tugs his coat. He looks down to find little Sherry clinging to him. He stands frozen as the girl bursts into tears. 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 is stunned to find Sherry so visibly distressed. Instead of offering a warm, comforting embrace, he coldly shoves the child away. Shocked by his heartlessness, the girl refuses to let go, desperately grabbing his clothes again. A comical scene unfolds as 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 walks on, dragging poor Sherry across the floor behind him. Ignoring the judging stares of bystanders, he brings her to a restaurant, but not for a meal. He warns her of the city's dangers and demands to know why she is wandering alone. Sherry remains silent, but her stomach betrays her with a loud, hungry growl. 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 orders food, but just as Sherry reaches for the plate, he cruelly pulls it away. She stares in disbelief at her captor, but 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 remains unmoved by her puppy eyes. He sets a grim condition: no answers, no food. The poor girl begins to tremble. After 50 frantic gestures, 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 realizes she's mute, but his interrogation continues regardless. Providing paper and pen, he finally gets his answers while Sherry finally devours her long-awaited meal. It turns out Sherry got lost during a trip and is now begging him for a ride home. She's asking too much from this cold man. He simply states he chose to walk today. He mocks her, claiming that while his walk took an hour, she might manage in a day. Appalled by his cruelty, Cher gestures that he is a failure of a soldier and a man. Our male lead has the ultimate excuse. It's his day off and he won't work for free. He turns to leave, but Sherry blocks his path. 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮's expression turns truly terrifying. He mocks her ignorance, declaring that Evelyn has finally abandoned her mute daughter as a useless burden. He even expresses surprise that she kept such a wait around for this long. With one final cold remark, he advises her to go find a spot in an orphanage. 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 tries to cast the child aside, but Sherry's defiance mirrors her mother's. Her stubborn pursuit forces the cold commander to halt. The card is a shield for her mother's sins. She claims Evelyn is no monster, swearing she'd never abandon her blood. A desperate bribe for a ride home moves his cold heart. For a fleeting moment, pity flickers in 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮's eyes. He dismisses her as a naive brat until a chilling sight stops his heart. The Red Hawk's mark stains the paper. Terror and fury collide in his gaze. He demands to know where a mere child obtained the symbol of the elite. Starving for the truth, he offers his own palm as her canvas. But the little girl is far more cunning. A deal is struck: safety for secrets. Amused by her audacity, 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 agrees, while Evelyn's world begins to crumble again. Escaping Derek's shadow, a prickly sensation haunts her. Is she truly being hunted, or is it just her own paranoia? Peace is shattered by venomous whispers. The masses brand her a witch, blaming her for the Empire's bloody downfall. Bloodthirsty eyes follow her every move. The mob is hungry for her head, seeking to erase her existence forever. Shadows are her only sanctuary as she flees. She moves to vanish, but destiny's trap has already snapped shut. A barrel levels at her spine in the dark. Nearby, Sonia prowls the streets, unaware of the impending bloodbath. Sneaking from the Archduke's cage, Sonia silences her fretting maid. Her thirst for freedom outweighs her servant's nagging. Fortune smiles upon her in the chaos. There stands the man of her dreams, the formidable 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 himself. She beams, weaving dreams of a shared glass, but the ruthless commander has no time for romantic diversions. He struggles to shake off his tiny shadow. Panic seizes. Sonia, could this brat be the colonel's secret heir? A scandalous thought takes root. Is he a father? Coldly, the man severs her delusions with a sharp denial. Relief washes over her as she spots no resemblance. Suddenly, her icy facade shifts into a mask of kindness. She pries for information until Gilas drops a heavy truth. The girl lives in a world of silence. Flustered, Sonia offers a condescending nickname. Sherry's glare suggests she'd rather taste blood than endure such pity. Suspicion lingers in Sonia's mind. Is this girl a hidden relative of the rising powerhouse? He dodges her probe with a vague lie. Undeterred, the lady lures him with the promise of a meal. He seeks a swift escape, claiming his hunger is satisfied. He has no desire for her company. His tiny accomplice betrays him. At the mention of a feast, Sherry's appetite forces the commander's hand. Seated at the table, Sonia showers the girl with forced grace, playing the role of a perfect lady. Remembering his cruelty, Sherry guards her plate. After a tense standoff, Gilas retreats to find solace in smoke. With the predator gone, Sherry feasts. Sonia seizes the moment, mining the child for the commander's secrets. Food is the girl's only master. Sonia seethes inwardly, wounded by Gilas's absolute silence toward her. She mistakes his patience for kindness. Beside her, Sherry's cynical expression tells a much darker tale. Lady Sonia is unbothered. She has heard the dark whispers surrounding the man known as Gilas. They call him a monster, but she sees an older brother's warmth. She is blind to his true nature. Her own kin, the Archduke, is a pillar of terror. Compared to him, Gilas seems like a sanctuary. Her fear has bloomed into trust. Observing from afar, Gilas finds her delusions regarding his character utterly laughable. He questions his own path, but one thought poisons everything. Sherry carries the blood of that woman, Evelyn. Revulsion curdles in his gut. Suddenly, the peace shatters as a scream pierces the heavy afternoon air. Gunfire erupts, sending the crowd into a frenzy. Terrified, Sonia clings to the only power she knows, Gilas. He orders a swift retreat, but horror strikes. The small hand Sonia held has vanished into the panicked mob. Panic flares as they hunt for the girl. Gilas spots her first, trembling like a wounded animal in the shadows. Her maid pleads for flight, but Sonia refuses to abandon him. Little does she know, she doesn't exist to him. Grim memories of her past abduction resurface. He discards Sonia like trash. She is merely a burden now. He reaches the shivering child, demanding she rise. But trauma has locked her in a silent, deafening prison. Masking his concern with insults, he lifts her gently. Meanwhile, Joshua hunts for Evelyn through the back alley shadows. A new disaster strikes. The future king realizes his coin is gone, plucked by a common street thief. Royalty humbled by a pickpocket. As he rants at the heavens, a shadowy figure looms behind him. Fear not, it's only Max. The loyal friend can't help but mock the now penniless sovereign in his misery. Laughter erupts like a taunt, leaving Joshua drowning in a sea of regret for ever crossing paths with this madman. Despite the mockery, the crown prince stands firm, his cheeks flushed with a secret longing for the woman he adores. He cannot hide his heart. His friend notices immediately and begins prying for the mystery woman's hidden identity. Joshua tries to cast him out, but Max refuses to leave the innocent prince alone in this world of predators. His offer to escort him is a facade. Max is just hunting for the woman who finally tamed the prince. The prince's desperate denials fall on deaf ears as his burning face reveals the truth for the entire world. Max sighs at the naive lamb who knows nothing of women, deciding it is time for a masterclass in romance. He suggests a night of drinking and forbidden advice, but Joshua refuses to be corrupted by a notorious flirt. He rejects the playboy's counsel, but a sudden gunshot shatters the air, plunging Sherry into a vivid, haunting dream. Within the vision, Evelyn cradles her treasure, swearing a sacred oath to protect her from the dark forever. Sherry awakens to a nightmare. Instead of her mother's warmth, she faces the iron, heartless gaze of Gilas. Once he sees she is awake, the ruthless commander tosses her aside like a piece of worthless, heavy baggage. He barks a command to follow, but his strides are too long, forcing the child to cling to his coat. A flicker of pity emerges as Gilas offers a hand, leading her through a silence thick with unspoken tension. Their eyes lock in a tense standoff, creating a soft scene as Sherry's tiny hand grips the commander's thumb. The peace shatters when a voice screams her name. Poor Oscar is having a total mental breakdown in the street. Terror consumes him. If he fails, he knows Evelyn will exact a blood-red price for her daughter's disappearance. He weeps until he spots the culprit, but the heartless Sherry abandons the fierce Gilas without a backward glance. Gilas expects a cold departure, but the little girl turns back to grant him a final, completely unexpected reward. She hands him a sweet treat, but the commander's gaze turns sharp as he demands to know her true age. She is 9. As she departs, Gillis stands frozen, his mind calculating a truth that will change their world. Discarded like a dog 10 years ago, he survived. Now, seeing 9-year-old Cher, a dark realization dawns. Evelyn conceived the moment he was cast into the cold. The ultimate shock? He vividly recalls that night of forbidden passion with Evelyn. A dark premonition flickers, but he coldly ignores it. Such trivialities are now completely beneath a man of his power. Screams erupt from the shadows across the street. There, Joshua and Max are losing their minds, consumed by absolute terror. Keylus stares coldly until one familiar cane ignites his dark obsession. A blood-drenched basket lies abandoned Evelyn's unmistakable signature. Let us turn back the clock to the moment her nightmare began. Evelyn's departure is halted as a shadow looms, pressing a cold, lethal barrel against the woman who once looked down on him. She reaches for her pistol, but the man's power is absolute. He seizes her throat, dragging his former master into darkness. His face ignites a terrifying memory of her past sins. Back in the present, the royal guard initiates a desperate search. Keylus listens as a witness describes 2 thunderous shots and a hooded figure vanishing with his captive prize in his arms. The atmosphere shatters as a man storms in. Their eyes widen in terror. The monster Joshua has returned. Joshua greets Gillas, who wears a mask of fake surprise. The prince seethes, knowing the colonel saw him long ago. With a chilling smirk, Gillas claims he merely avoided disturbing the prince's pathetic civilian charade. Uninterested, he commands Joshua to retreat to the safety of his palace walls immediately. Terrified for Evelyn, Joshua begs the legendary tracker Gillis for aid, thrusting her scarf into his hands. Drowning in guilt, Joshua begs Gillis, the man he once treated like a mongrel. They forgot how heartless Gillis is. He reminds the prince that royal authority carries no weight here. Struck by the crushing truth, Joshua panics as Gillis prepares to vanish into the night. He offers any reward and takes all blame if the colonel finds Evelyn at last. Finally, meeting his eyes, Gillis tells him to shed his guilt. Evelyn's enemies made this inevitable. "Your orders mean nothing," he sneers, revealing his own dark intent to find her first. Snatching the scarf, he signals 𝓤𝓻𝓻. Their vacation has ended. The predator returns to the military. A frantic command rings out to mobilize a rescue team immediately. Joshua observes the colonel's departure with cold, predatory eyes. A dark realization finally dawns. Meanwhile, our heroine's life hangs by a fragile thread. Evelyn awakens, bound in a desolate woodland shack. Her captor unmasks, his face twisted in fury as the distant echo of gunfire heralds approaching danger. He narrowly escaped. Evelyn's blood runs cold. It is Joseph. The former servant, exiled for his forbidden lust, now strikes her. He blames the Duchess for every hardship suffered since his disgraceful expulsion from the mansion. He sneers, recalling his dark vow. The day of her execution is finally here. Today, he claims her life. He reveals the Red Hawk Brotherhood has placed a massive bounty on her head. Evelyn demands the truth. Did he butcher Isaac and steal Cher away? He boasts of his crimes, lamenting Cher's escape. His true desire? To slaughter the girl while Evelyn watched in agony. Seeing her rise, he prepares for a strike. Instead, the proud Duchess sinks to her knees, begging for mercy at his feet. She weaves a web of seduction, promising absolute submission if he only grants her freedom. Evelyn pleads for his help. Joseph reels in shock. She has unraveled his most hidden, filthy desires. Knowing he craves her, she offers herself entirely. Joseph mocks her fallen grace, calling her desperate display utterly pathetic. Yet lust wins. He hungrily accepts, eager to taste the woman who once looked down on him. Elsewhere, Gillas is oblivious to her sacrifice. He braves the howling blizzard, refusing to abandon the search for his missing mistress. Fate finally smiles. His hounds catch a scent, their baying cutting through the icy mountain air. Joseph prepares to feast upon his obsession. He never dreamed this moment of triumph would actually arrive. He demands her full cooperation, anticipating ecstasy. Instead, he receives a crushing, agonizing kick to his most vulnerable spot. The brute collapses into the embers, alcohol fueling a sudden inferno. Evelyn bolts, even as Joseph screams through the flames. Bullets whistle past as the burning man pursues her. Evelyn's survival instinct flares. She has endured too much to perish at a dog's hand. Reality fractures. Above her, the ghostly visage of Rowan, her late husband, beckons from the mist. She lunges toward the phantom, but strong arms seize her. It is Gillas, yet she sees only a stranger. She fights him, desperate to reach Rowan. Gillas suspects a flight from justice until he gazes into her vacant, haunted eyes. Something is shattered within her. he pursues, desperate to stop her. He swears she is safe, pleading with her to avoid the treacherous path ahead. But Evelyn is deaf to his cries, leaving Gilas in despair. He sees her wounds and whispers her secret, intimate nickname. The haze clears. She is teetering on a jagged precipice. Gilas stands behind her, reaching out, his voice trembling as he begs her to return. It is a deadly tug-of-war between life and the afterlife. Rowan calls from the abyss, while Gilas fights for her soul. She chooses the dead. Suddenly, a thunderous gunshot tears through the mountain air. Evelyn plummets. In the freefall, she realizes Rowan wasn't a hallucination. He came to claim her at last. She expects Gilas to gloat over his completed revenge. Instead, she sees a man whose world is shattering into tears. Overcome by grief, the man who sought her ruin leaps into the void to follow her. They plunge into the raging river below. Gilas drags her ashore, screaming her name, but she remains cold and still. Terror grips him as her blood stains the snow. Spotting a nearby cave, he carries her into the shadows. Evelyn awakens to the warmth of a flickering fire. Beside her, Gilas watches with an intensity that burns. Her injuries are minor, thanks to his care. When pressed, she confesses her captor was the discarded servant, Joseph. His grudge was fueled by exile. Gilas remarks that she has a talent for cultivating deadly enemies. Evelyn scorns the greedy. She demands to know why the man who hates her would risk everything. Death would have been his victory. He stiffly claims it was merely his duty as a knight to save her. He questions her mangled leg. She lies, claiming a hunting accident, but the deception is thin. Gilas sees through her facade instantly. She snaps at his prying, demanding silence. The air grows heavy until a violent coughing fit suddenly racks her fragile frame. As she gasps for air, Gilas's composure breaks. He fears her chest is crushed. He suspects internal damage and moves to examine her. Evelyn scoffs at his concern, yet the look in his eyes is terrifyingly sincere. He forces her down, commanding her to remain still. Panic ignites within her. Gilas is relentless, pinning her wrists above her head with overwhelming strength. Despite her frantic struggles, he refuses to let the stubborn Duchess move. He dominates her completely, trapping her legs. He orders her to cease her useless resistance at once. His voice is a low growl. A fractured rib could pierce her lungs, leaving her to drown in her own blood. He will not let her die. "Submit or perish," he growls. But our heroine refuses to bow her head. His hand on her waist sparks a forbidden fire. He probes her pain, but Evelyn stays silent. A fatal error. He discards his gloves, touching her bare skin. Evelyn can no longer endure it. Her body trembles with raw sensation. "Please, Gilas, stop," she begs through the torment. Seeing her broken state, he relents. "No broken ribs," he mutters, releasing her as wounds bleed anew. He offers to bind her wounds, but she recoils. "Don't you dare touch me," she spits. He scoffs, tossing the bandages at her feet. As he turns away, Evelyn is gripped by panic. "Where are you going?" she cries. He only promises to find wood and not desert her. While this forced intimacy unfolds, the capital falls into absolute chaotic madness. Prince Joshua returns, haunted by Evelyn's disappearance. Max watches, secretly fearing for the prince's sanity. "Highness, remember," Max warns sternly, "that woman is nothing but a lowly widow." Joshua's indifference infuriates Max. She's a witch, a woman who murdered her own husband. Joshua's eyes burn. Does being a widow mean she deserves to be hunted like an animal? She is a citizen of Alter. I will protect her. "Watch your tongue, Max," Joshua commands. Rage seethes within Joshua. He recalls Gila's defiance, the man who claimed Evelyn as his own. Dread consumes the prince. Meanwhile, Gilas returns to find Evelyn on the verge of death. Without a word, he forces a piece of sweet chocolate between her pale, trembling lips. "Where did you get this?" Sherry's name escapes his lips, sending a jolt of terror through Evelyn. He ignores her frantic questioning, cryptically noting how young and fragile Sherry seemed to be. Evelyn bristles with suspicion. He muses that Sherry looked so small he mistook her for a child. Silence hangs heavy, until Evelyn's voice cuts through. "Don't you dare think of deceiving yourself." Suspicion thickens. Gilas merely gestures toward her side. "Change those bandages before infection takes hold." "Mind your own business," she snaps. Surprisingly, the man listens and falls into a deep sleep. Thinking he's asleep, Evelyn begins to undress. Little does she know, Gilas's eyes are wide open. From the shadows, he watches. As her shirt falls, he sees a back ravaged by horrific scars. The fabric slips away, revealing a nightmare etched in flesh. Gilles is frozen by the sight. Dropping the facade, he moves toward her. "Let me help," he says, grabbing the fresh bandages. Panic surges through her exposed body. "Wait, don't look!" she cries, but he refuses to listen. She clutches her shirt to her chest, trembling, yet his gaze remains fixed only on her wounds. He treats her with cold precision, but his lingering touch sends a deep flush to her cheeks. Her heart races, her body betraying her again. Gillis finishes and turns away, giving her privacy. "You've changed," he observes. Evelyn's voice is hollow. Time has a way of ruining everything. He demands the truth of her scars. When she mocks him, he snaps. "Stop these games, Evelyn." The truth spills out a childhood spent as a plaything for the Duke's cruel, sadistic sons. They despised her existence. Gila remembers the names of her tormentors, Cedric and Leo Winter. To survive that hell, our heroine had made a truly devilish wager with those monsters. She let Cedric strike her with a whip, vowing to leave if she made a single sound. If she stayed silent, her wish would be granted. "A fool's bet," Gila growls in horror. "Why?" he asks. Her eyes go dark. "Because there was something I wanted more than life." Gila steps out to fire a signal flare, his heart heavy as the night grows dangerously cold. He returns to an empty cave. Her coat lies discarded on the floor. Evelyn is gone. Panic flares as he searches the dark. Then, a ragged cough. Evelyn, huddling near the dying fire. Relief turns to terror as she remains unresponsive. He screams her name until her eyes finally open. Delirium takes hold. "Honey?" "Hold me," she whispers, mistaking the monster for her true love. With no other way, he transfers the water through a desperate kiss. Evelyn awakens, completely stunned. She fights his advance, but his lips remain locked on hers. He commands her to submit to the kiss. He transfers water mouth to mouth. Soon, he discards the pot, losing himself in their deep, forbidden kiss. The air grows heavy with tension. Evelyn finally breaks away, breathless and flustered by his overwhelming intensity. She steals a glance at him. He is staring back, his eyes burning with a dark, restrained desire. The atmosphere is suffocating. One more look and they might cross a dangerous, intimate line. Suddenly, Gila shatters the moment and bolts. Meanwhile, Joshua is rotting with anxiety back at the mansion. He rushes into the freezing night without a coat, completely ignoring Max's desperate warnings. He demands answers from Dererick, but there is nothing. 2 days of silence. She is still missing. Even Dererick is on edge. The relentless blizzard is burying any trace of their missing colonel. Max stays calm, trusting the dog to protect her. But Gillis's presence is exactly what Joshua fears. Oscar arrives to find a wreck. The prince hasn't slept a wink, consumed by his own obsession. Oscar snaps at him for acting like a child. Even the soldiers tell the prince to stand down. They all trust the colonel's strength. To them, Evelyn is safe in his powerful, capable hands. Joshua tries to mask his jealousy, but his facade is crumbling. Even Dererick sees his strange madness. They claim she is safe, but the thought of them alone is a knife to his heart. A new day breaks as the snow finally clears. Gillis knows the search party is closing in. He returns to the cave to find Evelyn shivering. A deadly fever has seized her fragile body. Disaster strikes as Evelyn pulls him close. The monster flinches, pushing her away like a shy boy. She laughs at his reaction. Even sick, she warns him to stay humble for the Archduke's sake. "Behave if you want to survive," she whispers. By nightfall, her life hangs by a thread. She is lost in hallucinations. Gilas panics as her body turns ice cold, slipping into the darkness. No choice remains. He strips his clothes, revealing a back mapped with horrific, jagged scars. The fire is failing. He must use his own skin to pull her back from death's door. He massages her frozen feet with devotion. When she wakes, she stares at him with cold annoyance. She calls his kindness foolish. Yet, they remain locked in that intimate embrace until the morning sun. Morning light reveals his stunning features. She reaches out, tempted to touch the man she once scorned. A sound startles her, and she immediately plays dead. Gillis wakes, his gaze fixed on her face. He wonders why her cheeks are flushing. Finally, their long-awaited return to the capital begins. Joshua charges out, only to see the colonel carrying his prize. Their eyes clash like drawn swords. Gillis remains calm, reporting that her injuries are minor. His dominance is clear to everyone watching. Oscar sighs in relief, but Joshua erupts. He demands the colonel hand Evelyn over to him instantly. But the man who was once a dog won't obey. He stares down the prince, refusing to yield. He brushes past the royal like he is nothing. Joshua snaps, trying to use his status to bully him. "Know your place, soldier," he screams. But Evelyn is sick of their pathetic, arrogant pride. She demands to be let down. Joshua tries to play the hero, but she rejects him coldly. She reminds him of the prying eyes. Being carried by a prince would spark a massive scandal. Go back, she commands. She warns him that the upcoming banquet requires absolute perfection, but her strength fails. The world spins, and she collapses into the abyss of unconsciousness. Joshua is too slow. Gillas catches her instantly before handing her off to Oscar. Oscar retreats with her, leaving the rivals alone. Suddenly, little Sherry appears, and Gillas's eyes glint. He reminds the child of her debt. He wants a secret path to see her mother tonight. Joshua lunges, shielding Sherry. He paints Gillas as a monster lurking near an innocent child. Gillas scoffs at the hero. He notes that Joshua and Sherry look like identical siblings. Joshua recoils at the insult. Gillas smirks, claiming he thought the prince would enjoy the comparison. Infuriated, Joshua attacks. He believes the colonel is only brave because of the Archduke's shadow. Watch your tongue, Joshua warns, his gaze sharp. Insulting Evelyn is a death sentence. Gillas offers a hollow apology, his smirk betraying his true malice as he begins his manipulation. She despises pampered boys. Gillas scoffs, mocking Joshua's youthful naivety and Evelyn's supposedly revolting taste. Furiously, the prince strikes. Guards scramble to restrain him, yet Gillas remains eerily unfazed by the blow. With a mock bow, Gillas apologizes, claiming his venomous words were merely well-intended guidance for the prince. Gillas turns away, ignoring the prince's desperate roars. To him, Joshua is nothing but a clueless pawn. To a demon like Evelyn, love is just a hunt. She only craves the thrill of the kill. Behind that porcelain mask lies a monster. He still feels the sting of her betrayal 10 years ago. His warning was a desperate plea. Evelyn's spiderweb of lies leads nowhere but to an early grave. Meanwhile, Evelyn and her daughter share a moment, artfully ruining a canvas in their chaotic painting session. Evelyn claims her bird is art, but Oscar laughs at the ugly chicken, debunking her injury-related excuses. Her lack of talent is legendary. For pointing it out, Oscar earns a playful scolding and mock tears. Their laughter shatters as the door bursts open. The predator has arrived. Archduke Victor enters the fray. Victor reeks of ill intent, openly lamenting that Evelyn didn't suffer more from her recent life-threatening injuries. He offers a gift to the lady, a bloodied, dead fox, a chilling message wrapped in cruelty. Claiming it aids recovery, he watches intently. Ever composed, Evelyn accepts the gruesome token with chilling politeness. Thwarted by her calm, Victor shifts his malice toward Oscar, feigning shock at the young man's presence. He sneers at their cohabitation, spreading scandalous rumors of a forbidden romance blooming in the widow's estate. When Victor invokes a ghost from the past, Evelyn sharply intervenes before Oscar's heart can shatter completely. That name is a wound. Years ago, Oscar's arranged match blossomed into a true, soul-deep love story. Fate seemed certain until Victor's poisonous jealousy tore their future apart. He couldn't stand Rowan's happiness. Victor's hatred consumed everything. He stole Oscar's beloved, leading her straight to a tragic, untimely death. Angelica's name remains sacred to Oscar. He growls a warning. Victor must not defile her memory again. Victor scoffs, dismissing her memory with cold indifference. To him, she was too plain to be remembered. Oscar retreats in agony. Now, Evelyn turns her freezing gaze on Victor, demanding his true purpose for visiting. "The king demands your presence," Victor announces. "We depart for the palace at once, without delay." Still clad in blood-stained hunting gear, Victor declares an emergency summit. A heavy dread settles over Evelyn. Why such sudden haste? Evelyn fears the king's fragile health has finally taken a turn for the worst. Victor prods at her silence. Evelyn masks her mounting anxiety, claiming a sudden, lingering wave of sickness. Recalling her wound, Victor aggressively claws at her robes. Despite her resistance, his brute strength is overwhelming. An expert in violence, he quickly deduces the truth. The bullet merely grazed her skin. He chillingly describes his method: break the fox's spirit, beat it near death, then grant a false freedom. His hounds then track the broken beast home, only to slaughter its helpless offspring before its eyes. This sadistic spectacle is Victor's greatest joy. His twisted revelry is cut short by Gillas's sudden arrival. Opening the carriage, Gillas finds them in a compromising position, but coldly prioritizes his urgent military report. Rebel shadows loom over Evelyn's kidnapping, but the truth died with the suspect silenced forever by Joseph's blade. Dismissing the investigation, Victor craves only the king's ear. Gillas offers Evelyn a hand, which she frostily rejects. As they enter the throne room, Victor puts on a grand, theatrical display of mock concern and loyalty. The king breaks his silence with a bombshell. The royal heir will be named at his upcoming banquet. Victor's protest for official protocol falls on deaf ears. The king's authority is absolute and final. Evelyn is elevated to duke. Her first mission: accompany Joshua to the monastery for the sacred holy water. A powder keg on wheels. Evelyn, Gillis, and Joshua are trapped together in the most suffocating carriage ride imaginable. Thick silence fills the air as the men seethe, while Evelyn simply sighs. Flashback to one day earlier. The king decrees Evelyn must journey to 𝓛𝓲𝓮𝓭 with Joshua, sparking Victor's immediate venomous outrage. Victor calls it a blunder, but the king's word is law. This secret mission must proceed as ordered. Victor's nerves are frayed, forcing him to tag along. But the king halts him, citing his duty as supreme commander. The king demands he abandon his recklessness and prioritize the throne. Victor seethes until Gillis steps forward to lead. Misinterpreting the colonel's move as support, Victor beams. He eagerly petitions the king to grant Gillis the guard duty. He swears no man possesses greater loyalty in the entire realm. Thus, the most suffocating carriage journey in history commences. Entrusting Joshua with the sacred oil marks him as the chosen successor. Yet, Evelyn's heart grows heavy for the boy. Fearing a fever, she reaches out. Ignoring Gillis's burning gaze, she bids Joshua rest his weary head upon her shoulder. Despite his shy protests, Evelyn demandingly pulls the boy close, forcing his head onto her lap. She seeks only to comfort him, unaware of the prince's blush. Meanwhile, Gillis's murderous glare threatens to end Joshua's life. Gillis's eyes pierce the boy with icy jealousy. Finally, the carriage reaches the sacred gates of the Geneva temple. Endless rites necessitate a stay of several days. They arrive as evening hymns begin, invited by the priest to kneel. Our brooding lead can no longer hide his irritation, rebuking Evelyn for coddling the young prince so excessively. Evelyn's sudden devotion leaves Gillis stunned. She confirms her faith, questioning if he ever knelt in prayer before her. Gillis has never prayed, yet a sacred vow binds him. Long ago, Evelyn dragged her dog into a temple, demanding servitude. Recalling that oath now, he finds the memory bitter and utterly meaningless in the face of her cold betrayal. As incense rises, the lead turns his gaze elsewhere. Later, under the moon's silver glow, Evelyn encounters a solitary Joshua. Sensing his internal turmoil, she probes for the truth. Joshua confesses the king's grim command: prepare for the coming death. The weight of the crown feels too heavy for his trembling hands. Blaming his own frailty, he seeks Evelyn's solace. She declares him strong, swearing to remain his eternal shield. Joshua demands a sacred oath, and she grants it instantly. He pulls her into a desperate embrace. Evelyn remains unfazed, viewing him as a fragile child seeking refuge from fear. Yet, a sinister darkness lurks within the prince. Hidden from her view, his eyes fixate on a shadowy observer nearby. Gillis's cigarette embers glow in the dark as he witnesses them. Joshua revels in the illicit warmth of Evelyn's embrace. Feeling stifled, she pulls away, only to find the prince's crushing grip has reopened her hidden, bleeding wounds. Overcome with guilt, Joshua frantically searches for a medic. Seeing his clumsy panic, Evelyn's laughter rings through the night. Their playful banter hides the approaching storm. Ignored on the cold floor, a discarded cigarette signals that danger is watching. Deep within the shadows, the Red Hawk Society convenes. Evelyn's portrait lies at the center of their murderous conspiracy. Their target is the 𝓛𝓲𝓮𝓭 monastery. Their objective: the total elimination of the unsuspecting woman who knows too much. Dawn breaks as the grand ritual commences. The high priest offers Joshua the vessel containing the sacred holy water. As he prepares his oath, the sanctuary is shattered. Masked assassins storm the halls, thirsty for royal and noble blood. A blade swings for the prince's throat. But Evelyn intervenes, her pistol barking as the masked attacker falls dead. "Run, Joshua!" she screams, fending off the horde. A hidden blade nearly pierces her, but Gillis's steel intervenes. Gillis stares in disbelief at her smoking barrel. No one was permitted to carry lethal arms within these holy walls. "Save the questions for later," she snaps. While priests evacuate the elite, Gillis draws his blade for a final stand. Facing a sea of enemies, the legendary commander readies himself to hold the line at any cost. Steel clashes as Gillis carves through the ranks. But the tide turns as a shadow looms behind him, strike ready. A gunshot echoes, dropping the assassin instantly. Gillis turns to find his former mistress acting as his guardian angel. He barks at her to leave survivors for interrogation. She warns him to focus, unaware that a threat stalks her. Gillis strikes again to shield her, ordering her to flee. To him, her presence is nothing but a dangerous distraction. Defiant as ever, she holds her ground. Their bickering continues amidst the carnage until Gillis spots a lethal lunge. The cold steel finds its mark, piercing Gillis's side. The assassin wears a grotesque grin as life leaves his eyes. Panic grips Evelyn as she rushes to his side. He scoffs at her worry, claiming it is a mere scratch. The world spins as Gillis collapses. Evelyn catches him, her blood running cold at the sight of the poisoned blade. Desperation consumes her. "Stay with me! Look only at me!" she cries, begging the warrior to hold on to his life. Her frantic pleas echo a dark memory. Years ago, she had demanded his absolute submission, forcing an oath of loyalty. To the young boy, the oath seemed redundant. He was already her pet, but Evelyn craved a bond much deeper. Mere promises were hollow to her. She demanded a divine covenant, claiming every fiber of his body and his soul. She would own him for eternity. This cold woman mirrors the girl who once promised him protection. A demon wearing a human face. Evelyn begs for his gaze, but the truth remains unspoken. He hasn't looked away since that fateful day. Now, the poisoned colonel is rushed to surgery. Evelyn is so consumed by worry that she completely ignores Joshua's attempts to speak. Her world centers on Gillis. After grueling hours, the nuns confirm the colonel survived the operation. The antidote is working, but a far more sinister problem is brewing in the shadows. Fearing another attack, the priests move to cancel the ritual. Evelyn's fury instantly ignites. She accuses them of treasonous disobedience. They refuse to proceed amidst such horrific bloodshed. Evelyn sneers, calling the deaths a mere punishment. She demands why they failed the prince. Had Joshua bled, their heads would have rolled for the crime of high treason. Silence the rumors and finish the rite, she commands. And find that escaped assassin immediately. One more blunder means certain death. The priests tremble in absolute, bone-chilling terror. After crushing the priests, she corners the doctor, demanding the truth about Gillas's condition. The poison wasn't lethal, the doctor explains. Gillis will live as the antidote takes hold. Evelyn demands a timeline. The doctor stammers one day, hiding a terrifying secret about the cure. He stays silent. Evelyn's goddess-like beauty masks the soul of a truly lethal demon. During the evening hymns, Evelyn's mind wanders, her focus and composure completely shattered. Joshua calls out repeatedly. He cannot fathom why she is so obsessed with that lowly colonel. She blames political caution, but her heart's dark obsession is a very poorly kept secret. Suspicion gnaws at her. The attackers were clumsy amateurs. Something about this feels staged. Questions haunt her until her prayers are answered. Gillas has finally opened his eyes. She finds him sitting on her bed. Elsewhere, the doctor vents about Evelyn's terrifying aura. The priest listens intently. What was the dangerous secret regarding the antidote's true nature? The doctor explains the medicine's volatility. If Gillis wakes too early, the consequences are dire. The antidote will act as a potent aphrodisiac, stripping away every ounce of his restraint. The trap is set. Gillas is up and moving. Evelyn orders him back, but he looms closer. Suddenly, he pins her down, his hot breath grazing against her exposed neck. He smells Joshua on her. Jealousy flares. She calls him mad, but he only laughs. "I've been mad since you discarded me 10 years ago." His hand tightens around her throat. He's waited a decade for this moment. Evelyn dares him to kill her. He has darker plans. He sinks his teeth into her skin. Death is too kind. He wants her eternal despair. He craves her suffering. Their toxic reunion is suddenly interrupted by a knock from Joshua. Gillas sneers at the boy's name, itching to snap the prince's neck with his bare hands. The innocent prince calls out. Gillas smiles. It seems his prey has arrived at the perfect time. Destiny is calling. Joshua stands outside the door, pleading for a moment of Evelyn's time. He's oblivious to the sin occurring inside. Gillas moves to strike, but Evelyn desperately restrains him. She lies through the door, claiming she's undressed and unable to receive any guests. Joshua apologizes, his voice thick with worry over her distress for the fallen colonel. Gillas's eyes gleam with dark satisfaction. Evelyn insists her concern was purely professional. She dismisses the prince. Gillas mocks the cowardly royal who hides behind a woman's skirts. She orders Gillas to leave before things escalate. The beast within him refuses to budge. He closes the distance, making her pulse race. Joshua hears a muffled sound and pauses. Evelyn freezes in shock. Joshua is still there, drawn back by the suspicious noise inside. Gillas's patience thins. He reaches for the handle, but Evelyn desperately blocks his path. She claims she was just praying. Quietly, she begs the beast not to ruin everything now. His touch ignites her skin. Joshua remains stubborn, refusing to leave. He insists on staying outside to recite holy prayers with Evelyn. The prince's voice fades into a blur. Gillas is being wicked, and Evelyn is losing all control over her senses. Joshua begins the sacred chants, expecting a duet. Little does he know, Our heroine is drowning in a very different kind of ecstasy. She begs him to leave. Yet, the persistent prince refuses to skip a single page of the scripture. Gila taunts her with a dark smirk. "Call Joshua," he whispers. "Maybe that boy can truly save you from this hell." But Evelyn doesn't want salvation. She clings to Gila, declaring her readiness to descend into the eternal flames by his side. The man's pleasure peaks. He redoubles his efforts, determined to push her past her limits tonight. She mimics the prayers for Joshua's sake, but heaven isn't listening. Finally, the prince senses a strange disturbance in the air. He stays rooted to the spot. Joshua reads on while the forbidden lovers share a breathless, heated kiss. The passage finally ends. As Joshua departs, the real night of passion is only just beginning for our couple. Elsewhere, the failed assassin flees into the dark woods. He reaches the rendezvous point, only to find his allies have vanished. He is the lone survivor, cursing that monstrous colonel. Suddenly, a shadow emerges from the trees, cutting his complaints short. It is a member of the legendary 𝓣𝓻𝓮𝓪 Society. He questions the lone survivor, who confirms his entire squad was slaughtered. He blames the 𝓣𝓻𝓮s for hiding the colonel's true power. He arrogantly demands triple the gold for his survival. He doesn't notice the circle closing in. By the time he sees the blades, it's too late. These aren't the men who hired him. The 𝓣𝓻𝓮 leader smirks. The people who recruited the assassin were nothing but pathetic pretenders. This is the true 𝓣𝓻𝓮 Brotherhood. The leader draws a cold blade, stepping toward the shaking traitor. The man pleads for his life. He claims he only took the job because the gold was simply too tempting. He never sees the strike coming. A blade pierces his back. The leader demands the name of the mastermind behind this deception. The assassin is clueless. He never met the real clients, dealing only through a nameless middleman in the shadows. He begs for mercy, invoking the Brotherhood's code. "Don't you protect the common people?" he cries out in desperation. He claims they share the same goal, destroying the corrupt nobility. But the leader's eyes remain cold as he reveals the truth. Since the client never appeared, it's clear. The assassins were always meant to be silenced permanently. The Brotherhood has no room for cowards. They loathe those who abandon their comrades to save their own skin. Surrounded by daggers, the killer's fate is sealed. Meanwhile, Evelyn slaps Gillis in a fit of rage, marking his face. The sting only fuels his fire. He pins her down, carrying her toward the waiting bed. Back in the forest, the leader demands answers. Who dared to frame the Brotherhood for these bloody crimes? He suspects a deeper conspiracy involving Joseph. Angry members take turns, their blades raining down on the terrified killer as retribution. "You dare defile the sacred will of the 𝓣𝓻𝓮s?" The leader roars in righteous fury. Their revolution was meant to be secret. Now, everything is at risk. Back at the temple, Evelyn's resistance finally crumbles. The night burns with intensity. They are worlds away from the dying assassin who is currently begging for mercy. Suddenly, the leader's shirt is torn open. His chest is revealed to be a roadmap of brutal, ancient scars. Simultaneously, Gillis discards his own clothes. The marks on his body are identical to the Brotherhood leaders. Is the colonel tied to the rebels? Later, Gillis suffers through a nightmare. He sees Evelyn kissing a mysterious, faceless man. He bolts awake, finding himself alone. A priest enters, shocked to see the man finally opening his eyes. He has been unconscious for 3 whole days. The colonel is suspicious. Was his memory of that night just a fever dream? The priest insists he never left his bed. Gillis is rattled. He clearly remembers the warmth of Evelyn's touch. Assuming it was an illusion, he heads to breakfast. There, he finds Joshua and Evelyn together in an irritatingly domestic scene. The prince dotes on her, feeding her gently. Evelyn plays her part perfectly, feigning surprise at seeing Gillis awake. She marvels at his inhuman recovery speed. The monster colonel coldly replies that survival is simply his profession. Evelyn scoffs, calling him a beast. But when he asks about the previous night, her composure begins to crack. She lies through her teeth, claiming he was delirious. Hurrying to leave, her feet tangle and she loses her balance. Joshua catches her instantly, worried she overexerted herself. He fears she spent the entire night tending to his needs. The scarf falls, exposing the bruising hickeys. Our male lead is paralyzed with shock. He slams his tray and lunges forward. Who dared to touch her? Gillis catches sight of the marks and demands an explanation with terrifying intensity. The Crown Prince's irritation is palpable, but Evelyn's fury burns 10 times hotter. A sharp crack echoes as she strikes him. How dare this dog forget his place? One more touch, and he will pay. Gasps fill the room as violence erupts. Desperate nobles scramble to pull the two apart before blood spills. Blood trickles down Gillis's face, yet Evelyn's gaze remains chillingly indifferent to his pain. Demanding her carriage, she flees the scene. Inside the stifling cabin, 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 finally breaks the suffocating silence with an apology. He blames the lingering haze of the drug, but she scoffs. To her, he is just a pathetic failure who abandoned his duty. He played while she suffered. Her tongue is a blade, yet a simple touch of their legs sends her heart racing. Shying away, she feigns exhaustion, but that crimson blush on her cheeks tells a far different story. Sleep claims her, but her head jolts against the glass. 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 reaches out, only for Joshua to block his path. Claiming her for himself, Joshua rests her head on his shoulder. She is exhausted from a night of tearful prayers. Gratitude turns to a chilling threat. He warns 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮, disrespect the lady again and there will be no mercy. This isn't a royal decree, it's a personal warning. At the palace gates, Victor awaits them with a serpent's grin. He brags of his perfect governance, acting as if the entire kingdom is safe in his treacherous hands. Whispers of the scandal have reached his ears. Evelyn keeps her mask on, denying every single rumor. With the holy coronation oil secured, she dismisses his concerns. But the Archduke's confidence hides a darker scheme. He plays the benevolent noble, yet his words carry a hidden sting. It is Evelyn who should fear what is coming. Those stubborn council elders won't be kind. He reveals her new prison, a guest room in the isolated palace wing. A gilded cage awaits. Evelyn fights back, insisting her duties at the mansion require her immediate return. It is the king's command. With the royal birthday looming, Victor claims her presence is mandatory for the grand preparations. He demands her expertise, insisting that the palace is the only place she can properly serve the crown. Silencing her protests, he signals the guards. She is forcibly escorted to her new high-class cell. Furious, she banishes Victor's spies. One icy glare from her is enough to send the trembling maids fleeing. The walls are closing in. She realizes Victor is using this hospitality to keep her under his constant surveillance. Her own home is now off-limits. This is a prison, plain and simple. Yet, more pressing matters demand her focus. Between guest lists and finding Joshua a bride, her hands are full. But Joshua definitely won't enjoy her matchmaking plans. Papers scatter like autumn leaves. As she reaches for them, a heavy boot suddenly pins the documents to the floor. She looks up to find 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 looming over her. He warns her that the staff were merely pawns following royal commands. Thanks to her terrifying reputation, no maid dares enter. Now, the male lead steps forward to offer himself instead. He intends to be her personal shadow. Evelyn recoils, using his lingering illness as a shield to keep him away. He insists it is no trouble at all. Evelyn's confusion turns to pure dread as he drops a bombshell of a revelation. He is literally right next door. Panic surges through her as the realization of his proximity sends her into a frenzy. This has to be a sick game. She is at her breaking point, convinced he is purely out to torment her soul. "Get out!" she screams, only to trip over her gown. As she hits the floor, she fiercely rejects his worried touch. Scrambling up, she shatters a vase in her haste. 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 finally snaps, commanding her to stay still before she bleeds. While gathering the shards, he drops a smirk. It was all a lie. His room isn't next to hers after all. He dismisses his cruel joke as mere play, but Evelyn's fury is real. To her, every reaction was completely justified. She would choose an asylum over another minute of his torment. His twisted humor is more than her heart can take. Unfazed, he presents her shoes. He smells her fear, but as she tries to flee, her twisted ankle betrays her. He seizes her delicate foot in a firm grip. She prays for composure, but her trembling tells a much steamier story. His gaze turns intense. "Next time you fall," he whispers, "let it be onto my shoulder." Their eyes meet, and a flood of scandalous memories rushes back. Overwhelmed by the heat, she desperately averts her gaze. His burning stare lingers on her. Mercifully, a maid's announcement of lunch breaks the suffocating tension between them. He offers his arm, but she bolts like a startled deer. No one would guess she was limping moments ago. A feast of absolute discomfort begins. The trio sits together, the air thick with unspoken secrets and rivalry. To make matters worse, Lady Sonia joins the fray. It is a miracle Victor isn't here, or blood would surely flow. Evelyn summons Sonia, striking terror into the girl's heart. She claims it is for her purity, but that's a lethal lie. Our queen noticed Sonia's obsession with 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮. She mocks the girl now, calling her a lovely, innocent lady. It turns out Sonia orchestrated this entire gathering. She prepared this feast just to make everyone lower their guard. Fatal mistake. Evelyn flashes a chilling smile, demanding every bloody detail about their mysterious and dangerous journey. "You wished for our ruin, didn't you?" Evelyn's sharp accusation leaves the girl trembling in silent, burning fury. Sonia claims she acted out of concern. Evelyn just scoffs, letting out a dark laugh that echoes with pure mockery. Gilas reveals he was unconscious for 4 whole days. Sonia gasps, her world shattering at the shocking news. Evelyn snaps at her for losing her composure. To her, a soldier's life is just a minor, unimportant detail. Sonia screams for Gilas's safety, but Evelyn coldly reminds her that tradition outweighs any single pathetic life. Their only mission was securing Joshua's throne. Everything else and everyone else is completely and utterly disposable. Sonia is revolted. Since Gilas serves Victor, she wonders if Evelyn orchestrated the entire deadly ambush herself. "Prove your innocence," Sonia cries out. Evelyn finds the girl's desperate attempt at justice absolutely hilarious. "Justice is for the weak," Evelyn sneers. Sonia freezes. Such blasphemy could get a noblewoman publicly stoned to death. Evelyn towers over her with total dominance. A mere girl has no right to point fingers at her. "That silk is soaked in blood." Evelyn exposes Sonia's hypocrisy, mocking her for living on the laborer's suffering. Gilas intervenes, silencing the storm. He'll report the facts, but he'll keep this scandalous incident a dark secret. Just as Evelyn claimed, nothing mattered except fulfilling the Emperor's royal command. Sonia feels betrayed by his coldness. Gilas remains unmoving, stating he is simply performing his absolute military duty. Tension explodes as they lock eyes in a deadly glare, until Joshua finally breaks the suffocating silence. Joshua ends the farce. He grabs Evelyn firmly by the shoulders, dragging her away from the chaotic scene. Sonia clings to Gilas, oblivious to the lethal sparks flying between the 2 powerful men in the room. Back in the study, Evelyn's mind races. She is certain Gilas is hiding a demonic and evil scheme. Joshua defends the colonel, but Evelyn warns him. Trusting Gilas is a one-way ticket to a living hell. "He's a snake in disguise." Evelyn's intense hatred for Gilas finally makes Joshua narrow his eyes in suspicion. "You know him too well," Joshua murmurs. He demands to know if she shares a secret history with him. Evelyn denies everything, using Victor's alliance as a shield. Gilas is just a pawn she must constantly monitor. She must stay alert to survive his traps. Changing the subject, she hands Joshua a mysterious and strategic list. The prince looks lost until she reveals the truth. These are the names of his potential future brides. An engagement must happen before his coronation. Evelyn probes his heart, asking for his ideal woman's description. His answer leaves her speechless. Blonde and a chess master? Joshua is trembling, but she's completely oblivious. She asks about the age, and he drops a bombshell. He wouldn't mind if his bride was a widow. 𝓤𝓻𝓮𝓪 doesn't realize he's talking about her. Then Joshua pulls her chair close, his gaze burning. "She must have green eyes," he whispers. His dark obsession didn't start today, it has smoldered for years. He watched her marry Rowan, begging the gods to extinguish the forbidden, obsessive fire in his soul. No more hiding. He leans in for a desperate kiss, but Evelyn recoils, shoving him away in terror. She tries to flee, stumbling in her haste. He catches her, but she begs him to stop this madness. Joshua masks his agony with a hollow laugh. He pretends it was all a cruel joke to tease her. He vanishes into the night. By morning, Evelyn is still haunted by the ghost of his dominant touch. During her meeting with Victor, she's miles away. He has to snap her back to reality several times. Victor pouts, offended she's ignoring his handsome face. He has a new, dangerous player to introduce to her. The door opens and Evelyn's heart stops. It's him, the infamous and calculating Count Ashford. Once a beloved holy man, he was cast out by the church under a cloud of scandal and theft. The people chose him over God. Ashford returned, ruthlessly crushing his own brother to seize total power. He didn't just survive, he conquered. Now he stands as the wealthiest and most dominant man in the region. Evelyn knows his true face. Not even a holy expulsion could break this man's dark, calculating ambition. LPH is a serpent in silk. Joshua's blood turns to ice seeing Ashford return. Why is a disgraced exile here? Victor claims he's just extra hands for the banquet. Ashford plays the groveling hound, swearing that serving Joshua is his soul's only joy. He uses the innocent Gilas as a shield. Joshua stops Evelyn, choosing to strike back alone. "Release her, you dog," Joshua snarls, demanding if the king sanction this blatant defiance. Victor sneers. The crown doesn't need every detail. Bringing Ashford back spits on sacred law. Tradition is a joke to Victor. He's burning the past to build his own empire. The air shatters when Joshua calls him a traitor. Victor's smug grin finally dies. Steel is almost drawn until Evelyn commands them to summon the Supreme Triumvirate instead. A council of high nobles, the Holy Church, and commoners the ultimate judge of fate. Ashford thinks he's the star, but Evelyn has a far more devastating secret to reveal. She'll donate every coin and vanish into the cold silence of a distant monastery. Joshua is paralyzed by the blow. No matter his pleas, her heart remains frozen shut. With the city in Victor's pocket, she's sacrificing herself to save the crumbling church. Guilt devours him. He fears she's fleeing the memory of their heated night together. She mocks his protection, calling him a fool. He only wanted to be her shield. To her, he's just a pawn. Joshua's heart shatters, but he isn't playing a game. He sees his future wife. She only sees a throne. Her coldness is a jagged blade. "Be a good child and leave," she scoffs, dismissing the prince like a stray dog. Gillas lurks in the shadows, unashamed of the secrets he's just harvested from the dark. She demands the truth about Ashford. "Come to my room at midnight," she commands Gillas. Joshua is drowning in self-loathing. He must beg for her forgiveness before dawn breaks. "Child." The word echoes in his head as the prince breaks down in bitter tears. He wipes his eyes, desperate to mend the bond before the shadow between them grows. He prays for mercy, but finds her chamber door standing open like a silent warning. History repeats its cruelty. Years ago, it was Rowan. Now he sees Gillas claiming her. Earlier, Gillas enters her room, wary of the siren's call and the papers she holds. It's a record of sins. Evidence of Ashford's crimes that should have stayed buried. The news was throttled, but Evelyn knows all. She orders the colonel to purge Ashford. "Why me?" he asks. "Because it serves you," she whispers, weaving her deadly web. Gillas mocks her manipulation. When she uses a pet name, he only finds it laughable. She's a master of masks. He suggests she use Cain Ashford's legendary lust instead. Everyone knows Cain's weakness for beauty. One look from her, and he would be hers. Evelyn toys with him, calling his plan dull. He recoils when she pulls him close. "This never happened," he growls, fleeing the room before she can steal his soul. The next day, Ashford practically drools over Sonia, kissing her hands with oily, sickening grace. Sonia is visibly revolted, while the architect of this misery, Evelyn, sips her tea calmly. Her excuse for the chaos? She was simply bored and desired a little tea-time company. Ashford invades their circle. Evelyn smiles, finding it a tragedy that such a man is single. The trap is set. She intends to force these two into a nightmare marriage alliance. At the grounds, Joshua's sword is a blur of rage. Poor Max is fighting for survival. A near-fatal blow snaps Joshua back. His mind is a chaotic storm of Evelyn's rejection. Gillas arrives, unaware that he's become the primary target of a prince's growing madness. The Archduke's orders are absolute. Clear the field. The training session is over. "I'll escort you," Gillas offers. Joshua's eyes burn. "You have no authority here, soldier. Leave." The prince snarls, accusing the colonel of insolence. Gillas remains cold, merely a soldier following his absolute orders. Gillas claims he harbors no feelings. Joshua sneers, posing a single, soul-piercing question to test his resolve. "Do you love Evelyn?" Meanwhile, Sonia's screaming echoes as her uncle brands Gillas as her intended fiancé. Evelyn sees through the facade. This engagement is nothing but Victor's desperate ploy for public attention. She expects him to falter now that Ashford has finally graced them with his presence. Sonia clings to her delusions. Evelyn strikes back, asking if the man returns her pathetic obsession. She prays for a future spark, but Evelyn crushes her hope. To Gillas, she's just a heavy responsibility. He might shield her as a husband, but his heart remains a frozen wasteland. Sonia's rage boils. Desperate, Sonia lunges, swearing to steal Gillas's heart while cursing Evelyn's cold soul. Evelyn scoffs at the insecurity. If Gillas truly loved her, Sonia wouldn't be trembling in fear. Tension explodes at the grounds. Gillas denies his love, but Joshua sees the truth hidden beneath. Those lingering gazes don't lie. "Why were you in Evelyn's chambers so late last night?" Blazing with hatred, Sonia curses the heroine, wishing her a lifetime of bitter, lonely death. The cruel words bounce off Evelyn. She prepares to drop a truth more devastating than any insult. "Love? You're just a pathetic pawn being moved across the Archduke's bloody chessboard." Survival demands absolute obedience to the Archduke. Meanwhile, Joshua demands the truth of Gillas's midnight visit. "Go ask her yourself," Gillas retorts. "Perhaps she'll take pity on a whining child like you." He mocks the prince's resemblance to her dead husband. Evelyn sneers, telling Sonia to keep begging. "Maybe someone will throw a scrap of affection to a beggar like you." Sonia finally snaps. Tea splashes across Evelyn's face. "Shut up, you devilish witch!" Sonia screams in a frenzy. Steel clangs as Joshua challenges Gillas. In this moment, both leads radiate a terrifying, demonic aura. Ashford sprints to Victor, breathless. "Stop her! Evelyn is absolutely obliterating your cousin in the drawing room." The Crown Prince demands blood. Max and 𝓤𝓻𝓮 are forced to witness this high-stakes duel. 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 draws his blade, inviting the prince to his doom. Then, Joshua adds a lethal condition: a death match. No surrender, no mercy. Only one man leaves this field alive. Max pleads for intervention, but 𝓤𝓻𝓮 stands frozen. The law of the duel is absolute. 𝓤𝓻𝓮 trembles. 𝓤𝓲𝓴𝓮 looks like a god of death. Interfere, and he'll be the first to fall. Evelyn seizes Sonia by the hair, forcing her down. The so-called lady snarls in impotent fury. Sonia screams of vengeance and demons, but Evelyn silences her with a stinging, elegant slap. Say it again, Evelyn dares. Sonia shrieks of witches and hellfire, her dignity crumbling away. Another slap rings out. Evelyn mocks that precious love, calling it nothing but a fool's delusion. Tears stream down as her heart shatters. Love has offered her no shield against this humiliation. "You know nothing of love," Sonia cries, desperately trying to shield her pride from the cold Duchess. Evelyn smiles chillingly. "Your love hasn't made you noble. It's made you hideous." The duel erupts. Max anticipates a slaughter, stunned that the prince survives even a second against 𝓤𝓼𝓴's overwhelming power. The silence stretches. 𝓤𝓻𝓮 frowns as the clash of steel continues far longer than expected. Is 𝓤𝓼𝓴 toying with him? No. 𝓤𝓻𝓮 sees the truth. The colonel's eyes are burning with lethal intent. A blade grazes skin. 𝓤𝓼𝓴 offers a mocking critique of the prince's pathetic and clumsy technique. Joshua lunges in a blind rage. Suddenly, Victor arrives, staring at the chaos in absolute disbelief. Victor barks at Evelyn for this minor spat. But the Duchess isn't playing games anymore. "The king made me Duchess of Winter. A mere count's daughter will learn her place or be crushed. Since you couldn't domesticate your own blood, I've stepped in to handle the discipline myself." Evelyn demands a formal apology. Meanwhile, 𝓤𝓼𝓴's fist connects, shattering the prince's arrogant face. "Weakness is a sin," 𝓤𝓼𝓴 growls. "Since you've chosen death, I'll gladly guide you there." Victor tries to dismiss the title. "The king only spoke it. You aren't a duchess yet." Branding him a traitor, Evelyn watches Victor's fury ignite like wildfire. He moves to strike, but her cold, fearless gaze stops him. Yielding like a dog, Victor forces Sonia to bow before her. Joshua mocks the colonel's low blood, igniting a dangerous resentment. Honor is for the dead. Giles survives through his own disgrace. Steel clashes. Joshua disarms the colonel with overwhelming power. Victory gloats. Sonia begs for mercy as the atmosphere turns suffocating. Mercy? Never. Evelyn brands the girl uneducated with razor-sharp words. Discarded like trash, she throws the flower back and exits happily. Humiliation breeds obsession. Victor vows to repay this shame tenfold. No rest for the queen. Max rushes in with urgent news. "A duel to the death!" He begs her to stop them. "Blade at throat!" Evelyn arrives, her voice commanding the storm. Stinging discipline. A slap corrects the prince's reckless, arrogant ego. He played the knight, yet she treats him like a fool. Love is weakness. She demands he endure every insult in silence. "A trap!" He walked into 𝓤𝓼𝓴's provocation like a mindless beast. He boasts of winning, but she reveals the darkness he missed. Scandal. Rumors of the duel would have shattered his future instantly. The church's shadow looms. The prince nearly lost everything to pride. Enlightenment, Joshua drops his blade, realizing he was a mere pawn. He apologizes, yet begs her to stop controlling his heart's fire. 𝓤𝓼𝓴 tries to bow, but Evelyn's mercy has reached its limit. A calculated scheme. He used his own injuries to bait him. Is he a sacrificial lamb for the Archduke's grand ambition? Silence follows. She dismisses the lowly man with utter contempt. Insult? 𝓤𝓼𝓴 claims the prince questioned his heart for the Duchess. Unmoved, she sends him to comfort his weeping fiancé instead. Tears flow as Sonia clings to her savior in desperation. Lies of devotion. Sonia claims she defied everyone for their love. Obsession. 𝓤𝓼𝓴 ignores her heart, hunting only for Ashford's trail. The hunt begins. He abandons the girl to chase a ghost. Delusional joy. Sonia plans a dinner for a man who cares not. Evelyn's commands consume his mind. She is his true master. The triumvirate gathers. Power, faith, and nobility collide in the hall. A bombshell. Evelyn is named the supreme chairwoman of the council. Rebellion. The air fills with the poisonous whispers of jealous men. Accusations fly. They brand her a seductress seeking the crown. Checkmate. Evelyn declares her power is only a temporary shield. A total sacrifice. She will renounce everything once he ascends. Exile to the monastery? The council stands frozen in shock. The golden bait. They must support him to touch her wealth. Victor applauds her brilliance, his eyes holding a terrifying secret. Surrender? Victor abandons the throne, mocking her with a smile. The Archduke yields, but the shadow of his obsession only grows. Evelyn smells a rat. Victor's resignation is a total farce. Joshua stands there paralyzed by the Archduke's sudden move. He is preaching peace, claiming only true blood should rule. But Evelyn isn't buying this performance for a single second. The snake is coiling. He announces a citizens' council. A gift for the people? No, it is a weapon. She sees the trap. This council gives the masses a voice, but it is a leash for the entire monarchy. They will manipulate every whisper, seizing control of the state from the shadows. The royal authority is being gutted. Evelyn strikes back immediately, refusing to let him dismantle the throne's power. She demands education first. Victor counters with a sneer. He paints her as an elitist, crushing the commoner's dreams. He plays the crowd perfectly. The age of kings is dying. His voice rings with a false revolutionary zeal. He calls her a coward, clinging to rotting traditions while the world surges forward without the kingdom of Aldrich. A new dawn is breaking. He tells them to abandon the royals who hold them back in the darkness. The future belongs to them. He demands they rise and stand with his new citizens' council today. The crowd roars in worship. They see a saint. But Evelyn sees the monster hiding beneath the mask. She accuses him of sabotage. He smiles pure venom. I am merely strengthening the crown by letting the citizens speak. He acts as their bridge, a humble servant of fairness, the ultimate manipulator hidden in a hero's cloak. Her skin crawls at the acting. The city now sees him as the noble savior who sacrificed his own crown. Victor is tasting victory. He waits for her spirit to break before him in total, absolute submission. He will give her a hollow throne, a bird in a gilded cage. But our clever heroine is no ordinary princess. She has found the hidden blade. Victor is not seeking democracy. He is building a brutal military dictatorship. He will lead the council while commanding the legions. Total dominance. But she is about to flip the game board. She applauds his grand vision. Then she casually mentions his role as High Commander. The ultimate conflict of interest. She fears military overreach. Victor calls it a tool. Gillis agrees, claiming their only duty is protecting the nation. That was the trigger. Evelyn laughs, her eyes cold. She fully endorses the council with a terrifying, confident smile. She praises his selflessness. Victor basks in his glory until she drops the next bombshell of a suggestion. Since he is a man of the people, he must relinquish his military command to someone else immediately. They need a leader who can check the nobles without being one of the elite power-hungry snakes. The masses whisper in confusion. Where is such a hero? The answer is standing right before their very eyes. Gilas, the legendary war hero. A commoner who bled his way to the top, the only choice for commander. Checkmate. Evelyn feels the tide turning. Her trap is sealed with golden, unbreakable chains. If Victor says no, his greed is exposed. I am just lightening your load, she says with mock pity. He gave up the throne. Now he loses the sword. A noble in name, but a powerless, empty figurehead. He fell into his own pit, bound to the council with no army to back up his threats. Empty-handed and humiliated. The crown is gone, the military is gone, his ambition lies in ruins. He tried to make her a puppet. Now, the strings are hers. Victor is beyond furious. He storms out toward 𝓤𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓽𝓮. His eyes burn with murder. The games are over. Evelyn must be removed before she ruins him further. Safe for now, she rests. The battle was grueling. She knows war is coming, but time is her new ally. Thunder shakes the sky. Rain lashes against the glass. A shadow stands in the drenching, dark night. Terror grips her heart. The mad dog has returned. He breaches her sanctuary like a vengeful, haunting ghost. He calls her a fool. You have no idea what kind of hell you have unleashed tonight, Evelyn. She tries to hide her fear. A joke about his promotion. But his aura is cold enough to kill her. A desperate, bone-crushing embrace. He clings to her, pleading with her to escape his reach. Craving the obsession? Comment Mad Dog for more. This is only the beginning. Until next time, ciao.